It's Collider Live, everybody. It's Monday. We're on the new channel. We are on the new channel, everybody. So hopefully you have followed us over from the Collider video
Get us
channel.
to 150. Get us to 150.
Now we are over on the Collider Live channel, starting a brand new phase in this train wreck of a
Would
show.
you call this phase 2.0? Like if
I
we
think so.
phase 2?
I think it'd probably be phase 2 of Collider
Okay.
Live, where we have our own channel.
Sick or partied too hard?
What?
You.
No, I'm not sick. I mean, I was sort of losing my voice. So I got bit by a spider last week.
And you're climbing the walls, and then you start shooting webs out of
Correct,
your...
totally. I took this antibiotic because the spider bite, it dried out my throat real bad.
Oh.
Went to Newport, Rhode Island for a wedding with my family, which was a rowdy weekend.
Right.
Just screaming and yelling and laughing and talking the whole time. Did no favors for my voice. So that is currently why I sound like this.
Fantastic, and we are. I don't have that kind of voice, but I am tired because we have returned from Houston. There are going to be no spoilers on this show yet because even though we did very well with the live streaming and so many people, you can still actually know it's not available anymore. The live stream it just ended this morning, so if you missed it, you definitely missed an amazing event. It was we did a poll on the Facebook group of which they thought their favorite live event was so far. Free for All still ranks at number 1.
Yeah.
But not far behind it was Bateman versus Guy.
Nice.
And it was something special. We'll get into it a little bit more because it's going to air for the public. We're going to cut out. You'll see the first match, Double Toasted versus Founding Fathers. If you're a patron, you'll get that today at the $2 and up tier. Tomorrow will be the $1. All patrons will get it tomorrow. And then Thursday will air to the public on the Schmodown channel. And then on Friday, Guy versus Bateman will air. And if you haven't seen that match, you really...
On Patreon or...
No. That's on the public, on the actual channel itself. So you should go and watch that match because it was inside of a wrestling ring at the Booker T World Gym Arena. And, man, it delivered on everything that I wanted it to do. Everything I wanted as far as people ask me, is this, you envision this thing because of the wrestling aspect. It felt like we were home.
Yeah.
The one little spoiler I can tell you is that Riley was in Houston, even though he's not supposed to be at the arena, but he was in Houston celebrating and supporting his teammate.
Yeah.
And we went to Mark Ellis's comedy show on Friday night.
Yeah.
Brett Sheridan went up twice and annihilated both
Crushed.
times.
Yeah,
what I
that's what Karen
heard.
said.
Crushed it.
He was so nervous the first time, as Brett does what Brett does and gets nervous. But after the first time, when he just nailed it, I think Ellis actually hasn't sent it to me. Can you text Ellis and tell him to send me the video he has of Brett because he was supposed to send it to Cody so we could play it, but he's Ellis and he definitely forgot.
Yeah.
The whole set?
No, like 2 minutes. 2 minutes of it.
Good. I'll text him.
And he just there was. I think what was the first? I actually have one of the jokes. He said something along the lines of that. Hey, Brett, why did I stop doing stand up? He's like, oh, I remember. I was in school and I remember this kid goes, hey, nice shirt. I used to have one, and then my dad got a job. The place lost it, and he was just in it, man. It was really cool to see, but. Riley was there. Riley celebrated his birthday.
Yeah.
We met some
That's
great.
great. I texted him.
Yeah, you did.
We had some. It was great fans.
Did you get nervous for a second?
I was like, shit, all
Yeah,
right.
he did.
I texted you. I
He got
texted
you.
you.
He got you.
But the other thing, I had because you always want to know what food to get in Chicago. They tell you the deep dish pizza or the hot dogs, which the hot dogs delivered for sure when I was there. New York-
BBQ.
That's what they said. BBQ, or you get a steak. And when
Yeah.
I asked Brad Gilmore, by the way, host of Schmodown Rundown, who took us around, gracious host, obviously was one of the main reasons we got the Booker T Arena in the first place. So shout out to Brad Gilmore. I love that kid. He's really he's just a good dude, and he was showing us around. He picked me up from the airport. Me and Roka. I sat next to Roka and Guy on the plane on the way there, which is a treat. On the way back yesterday, it was me. It was me next to this kid, like Brandon Hanna. Then next to him was Roka. The row behind us was Sturger, Guy, and Smets. I kid you not, Smets and Guy wiped the entire plane out of tequila.
I saw that video.
I'm sure.
I
Yeah.
saw that video.
What video?
There's a video of Guy like smashed, being like, the woman next to me's bachelorette said I took all the tequila. it's online something.
Yeah, he did. He took out. He wiped
time
out
was the
all the
flight?
tequila, and then I showed the woman who it was the flight. The flight took over like 11:20
A.M.
a.m. Houston time. and then we got it back in around like 1 or 2. But I showed the woman, said, "There's a reason he's drinking so much tequila," and I showed her video, and she was like, "All right, I understand."
Is that a spoiler that he won?
I'm not saying anything.
Oh.
I'm not saying anything. I just said
I
there was
mean,
a
he
reason.
could have been hurt. He could have been celebrating something that wasn't Schmodown related. It could have just been Sunday Fun Day, and he wanted to drink tequila on a plane.
That's right.
Have you ever heard that song, "Drunk on a Plane"? It's
What
great.
is with your? Because I love Guy, but all of a sudden you are standing up for Guy left and right on this show.
Yeah, Guy's the man.
Yeah.
I
Turned
like
into
Guy.
a heel.
You're turning into a guy, girl.
I'm not a heel. I just like Andrew Guy.
Yeah,
Oh, all
he's
right.
great.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not heel. Just real quick.
Yeah.
So we were told, Brad. We asked Brad. I got a steak. It was one at this place called Perry's, which is delicious. It was really good. But he took Nick Mundy and Mark Donica had suggested that I go to this place called Scorchies.
I've been there.
Are they
Nick
from
Mundy.
there or something? Why did
Yeah,
okay.
because that's where Nick's from. He's from Houston.
The one time I went, I texted Nick. I said, "Where should I go for food?" He gave me 3
Scorchies.
places. I went to all 3. Scorchies, one of them. Incredible.
I sat down with Tom Dagnino and Brad Gilmore, and I said, "Listen, it's gonna be hard to beat. LA's got really good Mexican food,
Yeah.
and I've been eating great Mexican food for a long time here." I took one bite and I said, "Fuck LA food."
Yeah.
Really?
Holy, Scorchies is the best taco I've ever had in my life. And I don't throw that. I don't throw that around easy.
Scorchies was
It's
like
so good. I want to go back.
Here's
tomorrow.
the thing. I my aunt and uncle lived in Dallas for a while, like when I was a kid, and so I was like sort of just at a palate for Mexican food. I mean, grew up in Pittsburgh, we didn't have Mexican food really, and then. When I went to Scorchies, I was like, "Well, what should I get?" And they just start like rattling things off the menu. I was like, "All right, I'll get it
Right.
all." I mean,
There's a
if I'm
lot to get.
There's a ton to get,
Yeah.
so I just got a bunch of it, and I was like, "I'm putting it all together." Obviously, Texas is on the Mexican border, so a lot of
Right.
people have come and made Houston their home. But also, Houston has that huge Vietnamese influence from, and so there's like a bunch of like synergy of those in the taco thing. Incredible.
It was so good, and even Dagnino's like, "This shrimp,
Yeah.
unbelievable."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was great. You were about to say, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Then
It
I'm not
was,
sorry.
It was a couple of things having to do with the last week. Number one, Makuga, you said that you got your first spider bite, but you had a spider bite on this show like a few months ago on your eye.
No.
Yes. You guys don't remember that?
Yeah.
I don't.
Your eye was completely swollen
Doesn't mean
shut.
anything. I don't remember.
that's
You
right.
didn't want to tell your wife because she'd be nervous to go to sleep because it bit you in your apartment.
Was I not on that show?
No, you're right. I remember
Yeah.
that.
So I was
Oops.
thinking.
Yeah.
you
Sometimes
know,
my memory just.
All right.
is
So you
not-
got that was your second spider.
second.
I'm
spider.
listening to it. I was like, he literally just had.
Well, now it's possible because you could have forgotten about the actual first one. Could be your fifth spider bite.
Could be. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And then my other thing was commentary on Thursday's show that I wanted to clarify something that you brought
Oh
up.
yes. We talked about this a little bit.
That I brought up.
Yes,
No.
yes. We
No,
brought it. We
you-
talked about it
you
on
kinda-
Thursday.
You kind of had my back a little
Oh,
bit.
we did?
A little
Kind
bit,
of?
Okay.
as you and Dorina were making fun of me.
Oh.
Clarifying the basement story,
Yes.
which I don't
right.
need to go over. I was in 8th grade, and it's mortifying.
Right.
I stand by nothing that I
Oh,
did.
okay.
Running and telling my brother that is.
Well, let's clarify for those new listeners on this. Just so there was a dirty act that not a dirty act. It was an act
It's an
that
act of
it was an act
sexual
of
youth
sexual
and
stuff
adolescence.
that
Yeah.
Roxy,
Sexual
Roxy
awakening.
did that Roxy did when she was in the 8th grade, and she told us on this show the first thing she did was tell her brother about it.
I
So-
ran upstairs and told my brother's friends. My brother was in
Was
the
there?
room.
See, that's not what you said on the show though. You said you told your brother.
I ran and told my brother and his friends.
Okay.
And like trying to be cool.
Right.
It's just that's disgusting. I would never tell him
Right,
anything
okay.
like
Because
that.
the reason that came up on Thursdays was we said Roxy gave Tom so much crap about saying that his sister has a big booty.
Yes.
Which brings me to my next point. I've had conversations with Tom since that moment,
Hmm.
and Tom has doubled and tripled down.
Oh, you told me about this. Go ahead and tell
Yeah.
what this maniac said. Listen to this. She told me about it.
So
And your face right now is unbelievable.
No. She told me. She's like I talked to her. She said we have something. We have something. Go ahead.
So he not only does he stand by what he said about his sister, but he has moved on to his mom,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
who he has said he has seen naked
Oh.
and that her breasts are. That was the sound he made, and then said she got big areolas.
What the fuck is happening?
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And that's what I said.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well,
See, I don't think he said
well,
last.
she had 6 kids."
What is she a cow?
What does that mean? Do your areolas get bigger per kid?
Like I said, udder or something. I was like, oh my god. Well, that's tough.
I couldn't even
Good
get
Riley.
I
Yeah.
could not
It's
get.
happening.
He's like, you never seen your parents naked? I was like,
No.
Like accidentally, I think my mind has been scarred. You know, like I mean, when you're a kid, your dad.
Maybe
you're
when
like,
you're a kid.
I got
Yeah,
lucky.
when I was really, really little, I did.
Could
But
you tell me about your mom's areola?
Don't wanna
size?
know.
Don't
Nope.
want to know.
Don't want to know.
Nope.
it's fine.
Just like what the actual f, Tom?
Yeah. Well, makes sense. That's Tom.
Okay, so Ellis sent me the video.
Oh, he did.
Do you want me to? I can send it to
Send
Cody.
it to Cody because that way maybe we can
Yeah.
during the break. Cody, how long's our break today?
It's still 3 minutes, Christian.
See, I hate everything about that, and there's no
Yeah.
way we're gonna get back. So
well, we were in Houston. I couldn't exactly.
it's
work
not your
on a
fault,
new one.
but I'm still allowed.
Sorry.
Just like people who we're gonna talk about later. You're allowed to not
Okay.
like things.
Okay.
And I don't like that.
So it's only 1 minute and 53 seconds. So Cody, turn on your airdrop, dog.
Okay. So Cody, how about
Alex.
this? This is what we'll do. We will
Give it to Alex.
We'll give it a hey Alex, and then is it possible for you to play that Brett's 2-minute clip after the 3-minute shit break?
Yes.
Okay, good. We'll do that.
Christian,
Yes.
I heard
False.
that David B made an appearance,
Oh, David B did make an
and
appearance.
he told somebody
Yes.
who told me
Yes.
that he wrote a song called "The Death of Chips."
Yes. You know
so
what?
I don't know how we haven't gotten to
Thank
that. On
Alex
the
buried
show.
it.
No. Thank you for reminding me because I ran into David B at Houston, and he and I was like, "Where you been?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I haven't seen one of your songs." He's like, "I wrote a great one about chips," and I go, "Where's that?" And he's like, "It's on the channel." It's like, "You got to post that in the Facebook, man. I'm not just gonna be able to find this thing."
David B, come on.
David B. So let's
are you,
fire
new?
up people. I had so many people come to me during. Actually, it was so funny. I meant to tell Alex this, and they're like, "You gotta still call them chips." And I'm like, he asked me not to.
Yeah.
And he goes, "That would help more than hurt." And I'm like, he
Yeah.
asked me not to.
How was meeting David B? Did you recognize him or no?
No,
'Cause we
I'd never seen him before. Just
Was he cool?
Very cool, very humble. He actually offered to write some Schmodown theme entrances, which I thought would be interesting. But we're gonna talk about that. Let's bring up David B's channel. Sorry, Chips, you got Alex, you got to listen to it. So let's find it.
I also want to see the Brett video too.
Brett, I just sent it to Alex. Alex, you get it? You got
Okay,
it?
good. All right, so
Yeah.
that's David B, right? Where is there he is,
There it
The
is.
Death of Chips. Okay, here we go.
Shit, this is gonna be awesome.
His debut.
It's like yacht rock.
This is what
yeah.
I think Alex's inner monologue is, but in song form.
Inside the small box, meant to work but not be seen. Viewing the world through a lens, talking to myself behind the screen. They try to change my name for likes. It's not Chips, it's Alex. Running around this complex.
Oh my God, I love this.
little piano riff.
Just right. Christian hands
This is
money to
Pounds
buy
jazz.
food. So I bought some stuff I thought they would buy.
I need some whiskey and a cigarette.
100 bags of processed carbs. I'm not Chips. I'm Alex.
This is amazing.
This is one of the best ones.
I can't seem to live this down. It's not like I bought one brand of chips. It's
very true.
Were Cheetos, Doritos, and Funyuns, Pringles, Ruffles, and Big Frito-Lay.
Facts.
But for the last time, my name's not fucking Chips. It's Alex. Pay attention to my
Oh my god, this is so good.
lest you live the same tragedy. Never buy food for the Schmodown. They'll hate you and come up with dumb nicknames. Now everyone thinks I'm a bad sport, but it's not Chips, it's Alex. Alex is my name. So just call me by my name, Alex. It's
Dude,
a good name.
what a hit.
Yeah.
Dude, I did
What
like
a hit.
That's the best.
Banger. That is a banger.
So let's ask Alex, have you ever heard that? Look at Alex, just give it a thumbs down.
He's the one person.
One person. Yeah, leave it because we know who the one thumbs down is. He'll know that it's you. Alex, is that the first time you've heard that song?
That's the first time I heard it. I kind of like the beat, but not the lyrics. Not so much. David's a cool guy, though.
Yeah, did you get a chance to meet him?
I got a chance to meet him. We talked music for a little bit.
Did he tell you he
Awesome.
wrote a song about you?
He did.
Oh, okay,
well,
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh my god!
It was really good. I'm glad you brought that
I
up.
can't handle that.
was great.
It's so good, and like I know in 2019 we're supposed to respect people's wishes, and that Alex has requested that, but I can't stop.
I know where you are in there. You're on the same side with Sadie though. You said own it.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Yeah. You
'cause
still
I
call
like
them Chips?
in my mind.
Oh, in your mind.
In my head, every time I see him, I think Chips. I say Alex because that's the respectful thing to do. But
it's
I have a hard time.
It's a great nickname. It really is.
Let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys ever been to have you ever gone to see Jeff Goldblum in Los Feliz at the, what is it, the Mandrake?
Oh,
Is that what it's called? Or the Centennial Bar?
No.
What's it called?
Birds? Hold on a second.
No, it's not Birds.
No,
yeah, your
no.
foot's
It's
on there.
it's a musical.
It's a jazz bar. He plays jazz.
What is it
On
called?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
You
night.
actually have seen him play?
What, Cody, yeah, look up.
Yeah, there he
Yeah.
is. Jeff Goldblum Jazz.
First of all, it's incredible. He's
Is he
a
really
fantastic.
good?
Oh, he's a fantastic
Really?
musician. The band is great.
Rockwell,
They're
the
brilliant.
Rockwell.
The Rockwell.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
There you go.
$20.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. I've done it a few times. I mean, Amanda and I've gone. It's great. And you gotta order, you gotta buy them a month in advance because they sell out immediately.
Have you ever heard of the Rockwell? They do like
Yeah.
unbelievable
Yeah,
shows.
I didn't know if you- I
Yeah.
didn't know
But
he was
that
there.
song sounded just like you walk into an old school Rockwell. Jeff Goldblum's
love
on the
that.
piano, and he's talking about just a friend named Alex, but he also goes by Chips. So
Well, that's
good.
why David B's so good because David B switches up genres all the time.
yeah.
He's done rap. He's done heavy
Let
metal.
me ask you guys this though,
No.
because you guys there was just a live event.
Yes.
What did Alex bring to the table?
Alex did well. Alex did good. He did. They got a bunch of pizzas
Ooh.
for sure.
Damn.
Alex, was there anything else besides pizzas? I didn't see any. I didn't see any
Pizzas and breadsticks, baby.
pizza bread. But there was no other crafty there. But just besides the pizza, right?
Yeah, Megan got some chips.
She did.
Waters and.
Subway at one point.
Do you refuse to buy chips now?
Yeah, I'm letting Megan do the grocery.
And you get the other food, which was
Megan's
good.
great.
Which was good. Yeah, and I mean, everybody. This wasn't because of anybody messing anything up. I just go into 200 miles an hour so I didn't eat food. They're like, they got a pizza for you.
Yeah.
I didn't see it until the end of the event.
Yeah.
Thank God for Ellis. Ellis was like, no, I saved one for us. It's in the back.
I always forget to eat, and then later I just when we were in Chicago, it was like
Yeah.
11:45. I was like, yeah, I'll go to McDonald's.
You know what's so weird about that? Because you guys know my stuff with
The
eating.
hangry.
If I don't eat, once the events start, my body clicks into a mode that I don't need food.
Right.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's maybe it's the adrenaline or whatever
Yeah,
it might
probably
be.
a little.
But I have to drink 1,000 things. But
I don't need food.
Where we're
And
going,
it's true.
we don't
We
eat
don't need
I'll drop dead as soon as it's over, but because I haven't eaten. But it's but as I'm going through it, especially in that environment, because Booker T was it was awesome. I
saw you took a picture with him.
took a picture with him, and I posted this. He was involved in the storylines.
Yeah.
and I'll tell you that. So
How tall is he?
6'4".
Okay.
6'4". So when
Was he into it?
this is the thing. So
Was his brother there?
No, he wasn't. So what happened was
Booker
Brad.
T?
No, it's Stevie Ray.
Stevie Ray.
Oh, yeah.
So he was
Right,
he was
right.
doing his meet and greet. He was doing his meet and greet. I forget what time it was, and he hadn't got to the arena yet. So we were going over kind of the bits and what was going to happen. So Booker was in his office, and Brad's like, "Hey, do you want to come talk to Book about the everything that's going to go down?" And I was like, "Yeah," because we had gone through it with everybody else, but he was pretty instrumental. And I'm like, if he doesn't take to this or doesn't like it, I got to rethink everything and do everything again. And that's option one, because there's always two options.
So
There's
you
option.
hadn't talked to him beforehand?
I talked to
on
Brad. I talked to Brad, and Brad said he had floated something because he's been involved with the stuff leading up to it. But it was the stuff because there's two options: A, if Guy won, and B, if Ben won. So I had to go through both of them, but he wasn't there yet. So then I get into the office and I'm talking to him, and I'm pitching the ideas, and his eyes are just lighting up, and he's kind of like he's smiling. He's like, "Oh, that's easy. I got it." And I was like, who am I to challenge him?
Sure.
I was like, okay, if you say you got it. And then I walk out, and Brad's like, he was so excited. I ran it back to him like 6 times, and he's like, he's pumped, and he wants to do this, and he nailed it and then some.
He's a professional.
Oh, he nailed it. He was so great, and he told Brad he was so into it, he got lost in it, and he wants us to come back, and there's one. I just say there's one particular scene where somebody and him have an interaction, and he just basically kind of points to the locker room and kicks the person out.
That's nice.
And it's great.
Was he ever a heel in the WWE, or was always
He
a
came in
nice
as
guy?
a heel.
Oh, did
came
he?
in as a heel.
Okay.
Yeah, came in as a heel for sure. I mean, Harlem Heat had a heel run too. Yeah, he's played heel many times.
And Harlem Heat, was he and Stevie Ray?
yes.
Yeah.
One of the and they just got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Booker P.
Yes. So, but anyway, it was a lot of fun to be there. But
I was in the worst travel day of my life yesterday. I was. First of all, I knew that I was going to be on an airplane during Game of Thrones, so I was kind of freaking out already about that. Our flight from Boston to Salt Lake City was delayed. We had to run from the gate in Salt Lake City to get to the LA flight. I hear some guy being like, "Have you started watching Game of Thrones?" And I'm just like, "Dude." I just gave him the eyes. I'm not going to spoil anything, I promise. I'm just asking everybody if they saw it. So we get to LA.
So your plan was to not watch it until you were home.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't have an
I didn't know
option.
if it was on the
yeah,
go.
Roxy almost spoiled it for me last night.
Did she?
Yes.
I,
Almost.
I did not though, and I very carefully picked my words. But I figured you would have. I mean, you were home.
I know, but I have kids, and I wait till they
Yeah,
go to
but
sleep.
I don't think about
I know.
that.
I know you didn't. That's why I wasn't mad at you.
I mean, we left Newport, Rhode Island to get to Boston. The traffic going through Boston was an absolute disaster. It took us like 2.5 hours in a car with my mom, my dad, my grandma, and my wife. We had to drop them at the airport and then take the car back to the rental thing. We got in, and Amanda's like, she's like, if we were dating, we would have broken up in that car ride. I was
Why?
like, because, I mean,
What'd
the
you do?
Macugas just don't do well in cars. My mom gets anxiety. My dad gets road rage. I get road rage. My grandma's 90.
oh, so she's saying that was the first time she ever met your family.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. She's like, I'm out. I'm done.
That's good.
I've
But
already
she-
married
but
in.
now she
Toast.
knows- she knows-
Yeah,
she knows.
Looks at her
yes.
ring, it's size.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
We have the Delta Lounge access, so we got in there, and she was like, "I'm gonna have a champagne. I'm gonna have 2 champagnes." Like she got.
I need you to teach me about that stuff because
Oh.
I'm so bad with the booking the flights with the
Oh,
Amex and
man.
all that kind of stuff too.
It's like legend. The
I know.
Delta Sky Lounge.
I know.
It's like when you get down to the regular airport, like look at these dregs.
I know. I got to do something. I got to
But
do
so
something about
I'm
it.
walking through the Boston airport,
Yeah.
and a dude comes up to me.
Logan.
He's like, "Yeah." Walks. He's like, "Macuga," and I'm like, "Shit! If I met this person, I know I drink a lot." And he was like, "Hey, huge fan of Collider Live." I was like, "Awesome!" And he was with his girlfriend. She's like, "Who's this?" He's like, "Oh, I watch their podcast every day." I think his name was Ryan. He introduced himself to Amanda. Didn't give me his name, but I think his name was Ryan. And he goes, "I'll see you tomorrow." And I was like, "See me? Oh, right." People watch the podcast.
yeah.
I was so in my brain, whatever. So got back to LA
Right.
at 1.
Yes.
There was standstill traffic on the 405 from an accident.
At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock in the
Interesting,
morning.
because in the morning.
In the morning, like 1 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. Didn't get home till 2:30, and Amanda was like, "I'm gonna go to bed." I was like, "We're watching
You
Game of
watched
Thrones."
Game of Thrones at 2:30
Watched
in
Game
the
of
morning.
Thrones
Wow.
at 2:30.
You
in the
have,
morning.
you
had
had
to.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want, especially coming into this show when we're going to spoil
Yeah.
it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was I was exhausted, but I
had to
stayed
do
up
it.
for the whole.
You
I
had
mean,
You,
to
you didn't go to sleep?
No.
You didn't not out for
No.
See,
any
I,
minutes of it?
I
That's
had
pretty
to.
good.
Yeah, I had to do it. Like last night, put my oldest to bed.
Yeah.
Said, "Don't you come out here. Go to sleep." Because I'm watching the show. My wife, it's so funny. My wife has watched season 1 and then the last season. She watched the entire
She
season.
watched it with you last night.
She did. She watched the entire season with me. So, and we're going to get into that in just a bit. But what we'll do is we'll cover the movie news and then get into, because we have McG coming in today. McG's going to talk about Rim of the World. It's the new Netflix movie that's going to be out.
So cool.
I am so excited for him. Oh,
Charlie's Angels. Big Charlie's Angels fan.
and
Yes.
how many? I don't know if you guys know this.
Isn't he
It's been a
Chuck,
while.
too? Who's Chuck
Yes,
also?
but This
Chuck.
Means War is one of my most underrated films
Oh.
of all time.
Great
This Means
rom-com.
War got
I
a bad
lo-
rap.
I love that
Yeah.
movie, but Charlie's Angels growing up was like
Yeah.
my James Bond.
Did
You
he
know, that
ever
was like
direct any episodes of
the OC?
The OC.
He was an EP on it, but I
Yeah.
don't know
Oh,
if he
okay.
directed
good.
any. We should look at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the OC is also like my whole soul.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
for
you
sure.
guys are in for this too, because you're big TV people.
Yeah.
And he's such a big TV. Oh, he's a
I
big
mean,
TV
he's been
producer.
a producer on like if you watch the show, he's a producer on it. But
Yeah.
like he's on so many.
Yeah,
things.
you know the thing is with him too is because he's and I'm definitely part of that. Like I've met him and he's a sweetheart of a guy. I'm just not a big fan of a lot of the stuff that he's done, right? But his producing stuff,
Yeah.
man, his producing stuff is great. And in this movie though, this trailer that I just
Oh
watched,
man, awesome.
Yeah.
pretty
Looks
cool.
great.
It
looks
does
pretty
look
cool.
really cool.
Love the idea.
I love coming of age movies, obviously.
Yeah.
If you watch my match with Paula Yama, I thought I was going to get coming of age movies.
Yeah.
I did not
No,
get
you
coming
didn't.
of age
Well,
movies.
you did. All right, listen. Let's
So
get into some of this.
close.
Let's get some of this movie news, and then we'll jump into the Game of Thrones discussion. So let's start.
What time's McG coming in? 11:30.
11:30. So
11:30.
we'll do like a two-parter on Game of Thrones. We'll start at like maybe 10:45, carry to the break.
Doesn't that make it hard for them though when we put out those clips?
Thanks, Roxy.
You're
It
welcome.
probably does, but we have a guest 11:30. We just talk about it from. You think we can cover Game of Thrones from 11 to 11:30?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about Cody. He had
Yeah.
a long weekend.
I know.
Okay.
Well, there's not
Sorry,
a lot of
man.
movie news.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of movie news.
Okay.
So we
Let's see what
could
we
just
got.
touch
Piece
on
of-
some good stuff, and then
Yeah. What's the good stuff?
well, we have Quentin Tarantino. Cannes has officially started,
Yes.
so he just played Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he's just asking everybody, please don't spoil it. Who saw it?
Right.
That's such an interesting.
That's like okay.
That's such an interesting thing, though. I mean, don't spoil it.
Right.
I'm
Who's in that
curious
picture?
what-
Who's in that picture?
That's
up
Brad
there?
Pitt.
No. Who is that? Pacino?
That's Pacino.
I didn't know Pacino was in this.
Yeah.
Was that? Was
That's
that?
at
Always, was
that's
that,
at Musso and Frank's right there.
Was that always announced that he was in this? Whoa. Okay.
Do it. There it is.
Oh, gonna do a movie.
I'm actually with
Quentin.
you. I don't think I remember that.
Now you know, Rocks. Ha. Okay. Moving on.
Well, anyway.
Wait, so
Yeah.
I mean, like, how much of
Yeah, so
what I'm
he's
saying.
comparing, or at least the writers here at Collider are comparing Inglorious Bastards to the end. Yeah,
Don't spoil it.
exactly.
Keep it.
He
For
just
anybody who's
basic-
listening on iTunes, I just want you guys to know that Christian's face just lit up.
Keep
and
it
then
fresh.
And then he taps Josh like, "I got a good one, guys. I got a good one."
Keep it fresh.
And then that.
That was this look of like,
Yeah.
just
Just
hold
wait.
on, hold
Wait,
on.
here it
Wait
comes.
Wait a minute.
Gonna throw it in there.
Don't spoil it.
Like a catcher's mitt. Catch it. Here it comes.
So
Okay,
proud of
real
himself.
quick,
Okay.
totally
Shut
off,
up, Roxy.
totally off subject, and I'm really sorry. Totally off subject. This is spoilers, I guess, whatever.
Got
Of
peanut.
what? A spoiler of what?
No,
Got a peanut allergy.
Aquaman.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
first of all,
Aquaman.
Okay, first of all,
Did you watch it on the
I
plane
watched it
like
on the
me?
plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it on the plane.
Why didn't you guys warn me that's the worst superhero movie of all time?
Uh-oh. Are we gonna open this now? We got.
Oh,
Listen.
I actually liked it a lot more the second
We're
time.
gonna have
I like
not today. When we have
Yeah.
the season, we have the finale of Game of Thrones.
I'm
not.
shocked. He's so broy.
I don't want to get into two. I don't want to get into two wars today.
Who
Let's
wrote
fight
that
one.
movie?
Let's fight one.
I
Okay.
did.
Please, not today.
I
Not
wrote
today.
I turned it off. I was like, this is the dumbest movie of all time. And I swam in high school. I love the water.
All right. Well,
Uh-oh.
let's move on. All right. So he doesn't
Sorry.
want anyone to spoil.
He doesn't want to spoil it. He talked about his love of cinema and what it's like
Right.
to see a movie the very first time. He's thrilled to be there, but the cast and crew worked so hard to create something original. I only ask that everybody avoids reading anything about this movie to prevent later audiences from experiencing the film the same way.
I understand it.
Oh, I
Makes
totally
sense.
get it. It's just funny because usually we hear this kind of push for a sci-fi
Yeah.
fantasy genre movie.
Right.
Uh,
Tarantino stuff are events. They're like events now.
yeah.
What,
Yeah, I totally
what's
get
the
it.
release
I
date
agree.
on this one? Do we have a release date?
Yeah, it's July.
July.
Oh, I thought August.
Yeah,
Well,
July.
That's
Cool. Right around the corner.
Summer?
All right,
July
we'll talk-
26th?
But no, I don't know.
What was the
Well,
reaction
I'm
from
looking.
it?
I'm just blind.
Yeah, what were people saying
26th?
so far?
What does that say?
You know what? I haven't seen anything just yet. So
July 26th.
I have a ignorant question. Considering I work in this space, but I've never gone, and anytime I say it, I kind of swallow my word because I get nervous.
Quentin. Q.
I say can.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think in France it's called.
Con.
I thought it was canned.
Well,
Is it Ken?
Look, it's definitely not cans.
It's not. It's not Illinois either.
Right. It's not Illinois. It's
Yeah.
not cans. It's not Peace Corps.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
It's cans.
Nope.
canned.
Not cans.
It's not. It's not Versailles. It's
Yeah.
Versailles.
Yeah.
Though there's a city in Pittsburgh that's spelled Versailles,
Right. There's
and
only-
they say North Versailles.
Right,
so.
but and my daughter, my 1.5-year-old, is okay when I ask her to say elephant. She goes fuffint. I like when she says fuffint, so I'm gonna now call elephants fuffins.
Defense. It's good.
Fuffins.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Fuffins. She was very excited. All right, listen. Moving on now from this.
Moving on, we
story.
have- yeah.
Don't spoil it, you dicks.
Okay.
Okay,
Boy,
next.
what?
Who's
The
there
movie
from?
just-
Right.
So Riley, Quentin Tarantino in Cannes asked people not to spoil his movie.
Sorry.
Who's there from Collider? Perry?
No, Perry's in the office.
Perry's right here.
I saw her when I walked in.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think we usually send anybody to Cannes.
It's probably Matt Goldberg.
Yeah, if anybody,
All right,
a writer
next.
for the website.
Right.
we
He hates
No, I
everything
know.
there. Yeah.
I know who he is.
But we
because
have-
he's Christian's arch nemesis.
Spoiler. Nobody wants to spoil it, but does anybody? Is there like a reaction to it, or is there an embargo?
I don't
Somebody
know
went
if there's
like this.
embargo, but
yeah.
it's gonna come soon because
You can't embargo festival movies. What's happening?
I know I'm too
Christian
tired.
just
I
goes-
literally missed it.
Christian just goes. Somebody went.
The reaction.
You know,
Just loved it.
You're a real
You
dick.
gave him that one?
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
That's pretty
that's
good.
You know, you don't. It's trying to make you laugh is like trying to
It's
like
not
wake.
true.
It's trying to wake up a dead person and go,
Yeah.
"Hey, laugh,
Laugh.
dead person,
Laugh.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's so not
God,
true.
You don't like dogs,
Yes.
I'm
don't like
fine
dog
with
videos.
I don't like dog videos.
Right.
Dogs are fine.
but you don't like dog videos,
No.
right? See,
Cat videos.
You don't like the hammer. You don't like the fireworks hammer.
Yeah,
So
clearly.
So anything.
Oh my God.
What's your favorite comedy?
Yeah, what is your favorite
Of all
comedy?
time.
This Means War.
No, role models. My
Role
favorite,
models
my
is
favorite
good.
comedy is
Fine.
Princess Bride, but
Okay.
after
Great.
that it's role models.
Yeah, I'm talking more. I mean,
Yeah.
there's comedic elements to that movie. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about, but it's more of a fantasy romance.
I'd like
So
to
role
see you.
models, I think, is the funniest. Every time I watch it, I cry.
All right.
Okay,
laughing.
I'd like to see you watch the Tim Robinson Netflix series. I think you should leave, and I want to get your honest opinion on it
Can
because
I
I think
come?
it's the funniest show on Netflix.
What about Airplane?
Have you seen
Yeah,
Airplane?
yeah,
You like Airplane?
yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Naked
It's the
Guns?
best.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. MacGruber?
Yes.
Well, the
I think
question-
that's a little more stupid, but yes.
Yeah. The question is what she's laughing at, though.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it. Like,
I think we need to do like a
I do a lot
test,
of-
a case
Yeah.
study.
I do
just-
like that sound a lot.
I'm just not a. We'll talk about that off here. All right. Let's go.
What?
I'll talk about it off
No.
here. What's
No.
next? What's next?
Well, breaking late on Thursday was Robert Pattinson.
Thank you.
Pattinson.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of had to.
Got to bring that back.
Well,
Got to bring that up.
we've
I
been
mean-
calling that shit for.
Yes.
Can you believe this?
it's true that we have been, but I guess it's still people are still running with both with the story that he is, or maybe he's on the short list.
He's not confirmed.
Yeah.
He's not confirmed, but it's like heavily
He's in
reported.
talks. He's waiting to see a script.
Okay, good.
Or finish it, and we heard that Matt Reeves was still working on it or punching it up.
That just means it got leaked out early, and they didn't want to confirm anything yet.
Right.
But I didn't even realize that he was in the running. We just thought he was a good choice.
Yeah.
And he
And
was
especially when he was cast in that Christopher Nolan movie, none of
Right.
us thought he was in the running anymore.
I did for that only because
It was Warner Brothers.
Only right because of Warner Brothers, and they would be able to free it up.
But timing wise, we were like, oh,
Right.
probably not.
I thought Pattinson was my first choice of who I thought would be the best,
Same.
and then it was Richard Madden. Or those are my two. So and then who's the other one? That was
We like the guy from The Sinner, the husband from
we
The
do
Sinner.
like that guy from the center,
Yeah,
but
Christopher
Christopher
Abbott.
Abbott. He's
Beast
not-
Boy.
he's-
What is his what is his name? You guys know he's also skinny and
His name
brunette.
is
and
Nicholas
Holt.
Holt.
Is he
Thank
the
you.
other
Yeah,
one that's
yeah,
out
yeah,
on?
yeah.
That's the one I think that like Ellis said. And
Yeah.
he's Nicholas Holt could be good. He's got kind of a.
I don't like him as much for
Wasn't-
Batman.
Wasn't Nicholas Holt? Yeah, Nicholas Holt was great in what's the one with that just came out? The
Tolkien.
No, with Rachel Hine. Rachel Hine.
Rachel Weisz.
Thank you, Rachel Weisz. The big one that just came out, the big Oscar one with
The
Favorite?
Thank you,
The Favorite.
The favorite. He was
Favorite.
Favorite.
Nicholas Holt was
He's
amazing
really-
in the
Yeah.
favorite.
He's very
Yeah.
talented. He's very talented. I just
Yeah,
don't
he's
picture him.
tall.
I picture him as Bruce Wayne. I don't picture him as Batman.
I think he's too tall to be Batman. A 6'3" Batman's
don't love-
really intimidating.
How tall is Christian Bale? 6 foot.
Maybe 5'11".
I think
Okay.
Ben Affleck is like 6'1".
Oh, he's 6 feet.
He's-
Bale.
I don't think he's too tall
Ben
to be
Affleck's
Batman.
6'4".
Batman's
Ben
not.
Affleck's 6'4".
It's not the same thing as. It's not the same thing as Wolverine,
No.
where your height is very relevant to
And
your
there's
character.
a rumor about that coming out too. We'll talk about that in a second. But Robert Pattinson as Batman to me is
Pattinson.
yes, they've been talking about that too. But I hope this is true. I think he's great. I think the stupid backlash, and I went after people on Twitter
too.
for it. Morons if they're only judging it on
Twilight, yeah.
If these people have seen his other work, if they've seen The Rover, or if they've seen
Time.
Good
Harry
Time,
Potter.
yeah, but I mean that. But
He's
he didn't
great,
have,
yeah.
but
He's
didn't
great in Harry Potter.
He was, but he didn't have enough to do in that. There's other movies he does, and if they're judging, if they see that and they go, "Nah, I'm still not a fan of the guy," then okay, fine. Then you don't think he's the right fit. But if you're judging on Twilight, stop being ignorant.
But hold on,
Yeah.
real quick. Let me. Twilight are the movies great? I never really got into the books, whatever. But I don't think they were bad because of Robert Pattinson.
No, but
I
he's
think
not-
He's
but
a
it-
pretty good
but
actor.
all
No,
he-
people
but all
are
he's
saying
doing-
the characters doesn't translate.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
people
okay.
are upset about.
He's moping. He's just moping the whole time.
I said the same thing to my brother because he was like, "No, this is a bad choice," and I was like, "Go watch this. Go watch this."
Right.
He did. He came back to me and was like, "Not a good choice," and I was like, "All right, well, you're allowed to have that opinion then."
That
Yeah.
to me that's fine because
Yeah.
you're watching
I
all the
disagree,
movies.
but you can have that opinion.
Exactly.
Larger sample size.
It's
Yeah.
you just can't if you're just judging it off those movies, and I hate the Twilight movies. They're horrible. And I'll be honest with you, if that's all he had ever done was just the Twilight movies, and then they cast him, I'd be like, what are you doing?
But he spent the last, I don't know, 7 years
Cleaning it up. Making it.
crazy great indies.
I remember when I went to see The Rover, and Ellis and I had seen The Rover, and I was like, oh God, here's this Twilight kid. I'm supposed to take this kid serious. I left that movie going, what an idiot I am.
Yeah.
I'm like,
He's
I still haven't
really
seen this.
good.
The Rover. I got to find
it's
this movie.
great.
huh?
He's so good in that movie.
I
He's
will-
great.
I got to shout out Roxy too because I tweeted something and she tweeted this needs more likes and it was about Robert Pattinson. So
Yeah.
thanks for that.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thanks for
And,
that.
and then
you
it got
found the
more
tweet.
likes.
Yeah,
and I
it
found
did.
the tweet.
Yeah, you found the tweet.
It's really good. So that Riley had texted me and said, "Can you believe that this happened?" Because after we were talking about it so
Yeah.
much, it was. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
it's
We
great.
kept-
We
Honestly-
kept bringing him up.
Win one
But-
for Collider Live on that
they're
one.
listening to us.
100%, but it was crazy because I tweeted about it too, and Riley wrote like, "I can't believe we've been talking about this and we predicted this." And somebody wrote back being like, "You and the rest of the world," and I was like,
No,
What?
the
No.
rest
What
of the world.
rest of the
no
world?
one was
Yeah.
talking about
What are you?
Pattinson.
What are you guys talking
No
about?
one was talking about
Snyder
Pattinson.
told us we were crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we wanted Robert Pattinson. You
No,
think?
yeah, it's so funny.
And
But
let's just say this. Listen, Warner Brothers does not have a problem with us. But Universal, if Rebecca Ford is listening and she wants to come in and talk about us calling Robert Pattinson as Batman, happy to have
You
it.
need to do a one-on-one with Rebecca Ford.
We
Yes.
saw her, Christian and I.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were at what the hell were we at? John Wick.
Yeah.
We were at
And
John Wick. She was Roxy. Roxy looked at me as if Robert Pattinson just walked
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
She, she was like,
Because she
it's
came,
Rebecca
came
Ford.
up to us and
did?
she said,
No, she-
yes, she
she
did.
did to you, not me.
She said, "Is somebody sitting here?" And it was to you.
That
And
wasn't Rebecca Ford that said that.
Yes, it was.
Really?
That was Rebecca Ford and the girl that she was
Oh,
with.
Okay.
And
did
I
you-
only know it's Rebecca Ford because we saw her and you pointed her out to me. And she
Yes.
had that gorgeous long hair.
Gorgeous long hair.
So I was like, that's Rebecca Ford. She said, somebody's sitting there. And then she saw, before we could respond, she saw a seat above and she left. And that's when I turned to you and I said,
Yeah, she was going to say something. Roxy was going to say something.
because
but she didn't.
I have to.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can we turn the air conditioner up?
Yeah. Oh my
It's-
god! I'm
it's- I have-
editing
I
like
have
you wouldn't
long-
effing believe.
I have a long sleeve.
got a
Alex,
sweater on.
Alex, would you
Yeah,
be so kind
I
to try to find a way to pump some AC in here because we're dying? Thank you.
So-
It's kind of a weird name to call it a sweater. Do you think they did that on purpose?
a sweaty? Oh, a
Sweater.
sweater. Well, in England they call them jumpers.
Yeah. I want to jump to the next topic. The next
Yes.
story
Nice,
that
that
I
was
heard.
good.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
The next story that I heard, it's a rumor and it came from a different site, was that they were eyeing Henry Cavill to play Wolverine. And
What?
I heard that as
Thanks,
well.
Riley.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
I heard that as well, and I think that first of all, the backlash about how tall he is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people's first
he
initial
tall?
thought.
6'4", 6'3",
Yeah, he's,
6'4".
He's massive.
God, he's like a perfect genetic
and
specimen.
Wolverine's supposed to be like 5'7", 5'8",
She's
or
supposed to be
something.
little. James, he's 6'1". That was a bold-faced lie. He's not 6'1". I stood next to him. He is not 6'1".
Who?
The
Army
internet-
Hammer?
Henry Cavill.
The internet says you're married to Miri Jetikin.
Right.
Don't believe everything you see.
Yeah.
So
He can't be 6'1". I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I stood next to the guy. I'm 6 feet, and he was towering over me.
Yeah.
I like. Is Henry Cavill 6'1"? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Good Google in there, Cody.
Don't lie.
See, here's the thing.
He put "Don't lie to me" in there afterwards.
The whole height thing. I know the first time I ever heard about Wolverine being small was when we had Matt Serra on the first time,
Right.
Talking about the Wolverine. To me, because, like, okay, for instance, the first time I saw Tom Cruise, I was like, I didn't know he was that short. I really didn't. I mean, I was young, whatever. But I don't think height necessarily matters in movies because everybody kind of looks big in movies.
Yeah,
So,
but you look even bigger.
The thing is, I totally get what you're saying, and I've said this about so many different things, not just height, but gender swapping roles or what your race is. Doesn't matter, the conversation, like, would it be okay if Batman was cast as a black man? Like, there's been a lot of conversation around things like this.
Where do you
if it's
stand with this?
relevant to your character,
Yeah.
then it matters.
Where do you stand with this?
So in terms of Wolverine and Henry
yeah.
Cavill, I think that there are ways they could shoot it so it would look fine. But I think that this is he was not my favorite Superman, so I would not be particularly excited.
You
about
like
this.
Brandon Routh?
What? Would I rather him as Wolverine
No, no,
because
no.
I
No.
liked his Superman better?
No, Brandon. You like Brandon Routh's Superman better than Henry Cavill's?
No, and I think that I think Brandon Routh was a fine Superman.
Okay.
He was just doing a Christopher Reeve impression.
Yeah, but I think that Henry Cavill got better and better.
Yeah.
It's not that I disliked him, but I don't. He's not to me Wolverine.
Okay, I really enjoyed Henry Cavill's Superman. No one's beaten Christopher Reeve, but I really enjoyed it. Love Man of Steel, probably my favorite DC movie out of all of them. I do not like him as the choice of Wolverine because I do. Here's the reason why I think the height actually matters because it plays into the character
That's
and
what I'm saying.
and the Napoleon complex. It's got like one of the reasons he's so angry is because he's little and wants to show people and it has nothing to do with me being little. I will jump up on your head and stab you in the head with my claw.
So somebody who would be great for this, our very own nothing, Jon Snow. I think that he is a perfect selection.
Kit Harington's
for-
like 5'7".
Yeah.
Yes.
He would be
great.
He would be really good.
Any
choice.
of those guys, Richard Madden, Alfie, or Kit Harington, all three of those Game of Thrones guys could all be Wolverine.
See, here's the thing. Go back. See that's Taron Egerton is he's not 5'9". He's 5'11". Because when we were going through for Solo, there was a whole casting thing, and they were listing all the height because of. What's his face? Harrison Ford.
Okay.
And the actors are supposed to play him. And Taron Egerton was 5'11", and you're like, oh, okay. And then the kid who wanted to
Alden
play
Ehrenreich.
is like 5'9".
Okay.
And it was.
He could be a good Wolverine.
Cody, can you tell
Alden Ehrenreich? No.
Can you say how tall is Christian Harloff? I'm just curious.
If they have it.
Just come out.
I don't think they have it.
Or if they're able to figure
Or just
it
Christian Harloff height.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, okay, I agree with
Would have
you.
been better if they did.
I just don't like. Henry Cavill's already Superman. Like,
Yeah.
let's say
Well, let's see if
But
Riley.
he's
Let's see if
not.
Roxy's right. Go to my Biofax family and famous birthdays.
Oh, look at that sweet
Yeah,
picture.
there it is.
What is that?
His one.
Famu?
Let's say his family.
famous birthday.
Does it say family?
Miri Jetikin.
No, it doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't. Go to a different one.
That's not
Go
it.
back. I'm
Roxy's
telling you.
making up stories.
I am telling you. Go back.
I've seen that too.
Go back.
She's not making it up.
I swear to goodness. Go to the Marathi, the second one.
Wasn't it on Wicca?
I'm curious.
Wiki?
Age.
It might be here. It might be a different one. Scroll.
Oh,
Yep.
he's married.
He's married Canadian film reporter Miri Jetikin on
Oh, good.
October 31st, 2010. They have a daughter together.
Oh, nice. Well, hopefully this site isn't the one that broke the Robert Pattinson Batman then.
Yeah. It also has your birth year wrong.
Okay. Well, anyway. All right. Well,
That's fine.
unbelievable. Well, listen. Henry Cavill is Wolverine. Not a good choice.
I don't think it's just Hugh Jackman again. Like I feel like they're very similar. He's just younger. They have tall. They're
Yeah.
the same kind of build and.
He could play the anger part of it. I'm not.
Sure.
And it's not.
Totally.
It's not
I just
yeah.
don't want him. I'm hoping that it's not true,
Yeah.
and that they bring him back for Superman.
Yeah,
like Warner
I
Brothers
just-
keeps.
I don't want to see a physically imposing Wolverine because he's already imposing because of his anger and because of his claws. To make him that jacked up.
He has chops. It's not that he can't play
Yeah.
it, like you said,
Yeah.
but he just wouldn't be my pick.
No.
I mean, we know he can grow facial hair, and that's
That's-
important in the
That's
Wolverine.
very true.
That's true. All right. So those are
mustache
two.
question.
Big stories. Anything else going on?
John Wick 3 finally unseated Avengers Endgame.
Oh, nice.
Made about 57 million opening weekend.
What's Avengers at right now?
That's a good
Overall
question. Let's
worldwide.
go look.
I can't wait to see
There
John
it
Wick
is.
3.
I think it slowed down.
Yeah.
Load.
All right. So Avengers Endgame. Total gross. Oh wow, it's done 770 domestic, huh? That's crazy.
Wow.
That's big.
That's crazy. So what? Yeah, but still, I don't think it's going to take. But I don't even think it's going to take domestic.
No,
No.
it's got a lot to get to Force Awakens.
2.6. Is it 2.6?
Holy shit!
And what's Avatar?
2.7
Let's see.
Really?
Let's see. Go to
or 2.8. I think it's right at 2.8.
It's still a lot. It's close. Avatar worldwide is 2.78. It's not too far off. Still got a chance. Still got a chance.
The Makuga family is going to have to spend a few bucks to see it because Amanda's still out in the pasture. She has not seen it.
She hasn't seen it yet.
No. She wants to see this one that's coming out this weekend, the Olivia Wilde movie. She really wants to see that
Oh
one.
yeah.
Which one's that?
that again?
Short Stack.
Oh, right.
Easy A 2. What's it
Weren't we
called?
supposed to?
Booksmart, yeah.
Booksmart.
Right.
There we
We're
go.
supposed to reach out. We were going to try to get Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, we
I
did.
would
Didn't work?
die.
Haven't heard anything.
What?
I
To
would
get her?
die.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
die.
Oh, because you love that movie, The
I
Life
would-
Itself.
I would
Not
die.
Life Itself.
It's not
What's it
just
called?
because of that. It's
Life
not,
Itself.
that is what it's called.
Is she in that?
Yeah.
Olivia
Yeah,
Wilde.
yeah, she is.
She's
but more
a really
importantly,
sweet.
she was in the OC.
She was.
As
With
a
McG.
character
Oh.
named Alex, and she had a purple streak in her hair. So I died.
Rock-
to
Bonnie
see
was in
my
that
hair.
too, wasn't she?
She was.
In the OC.
Yeah.
See, I never watched that show.
Olivia Wilde played like a rock club manager, and she became a love interest of what's the nerdy dude?
Well, she was,
Seth. Thanks, Cody.
Cody, you
Nailed it.
love that
You're
show?
welcome, Josh.
but she was bisexual.
She was.
And she was scandalous.
Cody, did you
on
watch?
the show.
Aren't you from the OC?
Yeah, adjacent.
Ish.
Yeah.
So did you watch? So
Inland
did you
Empire.
like the OC?
I watched a bit of it.
You weren't allowed to watch it though back then, were you?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay. How old were you when you started watching it? Like 8?
I was like 10 or 11.
Well, it's not too far.
I was 9. You
Yeah,
dick.
come on.
Sorry.
We just Google imaged, does Cody Hall love the OC? We were on images for
That's
that.
what we do.
Yeah.
There's some
You're
weird
very
pictures.
clever about in the
Working
booth
hard
there.
back here.
Yeah, I know. I can see it.
Working hard.
All right, let's move on to the topic of the day. And
Yeah.
so Cody, you're gonna have to piece together 2 videos. Sorry, buddy. All right, if you haven't watched the finale for last night's Game of Thrones, then I bid you goodbye.
Adieu.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say
Adieu.
goodbye because I don't want to say the other word.
Adieu.
It's offensive now, apparently.
No way.
No, yeah. Everything's offensive to the internet. They don't like it doing
Are
it.
you being serious?
No,
though?
I'm not being serious, but I'm sure someone doesn't like it. Now, if we
See, but it's
That's the
such
thing.
truth that
Yeah.
But
I believe that.
you. Yeah, me too.
Right. Everybody hate like and I love Roka and I gave him shit about it. Listen, I turned off their review after like 15 minutes last night.
Yeah.
Because they just went into like it was political correctness stuff and all this stuff and I'm done. I said I'm done. I can't.
Wait, where do they all stand?
As far as opinions wise, I would go back and let everybody go watch to see what they think. They were split down the middle, but for me, it goes back to the same point. It's like it, don't like it, but everything can't be about
Social justice.
It's driving me crazy.
Yes.
It's driving me crazy because when we get to that point,
I don't even know what you're talking about right now, though. For this specific
on.
episode, I was on Twitter.
It does.
all
It does.
night.
There's just a particular part to where they brought it up, and I was like, no. And I was like, you don't have to like the choice of the moment because, to be honest with you, I didn't. But you
You can't say what you're talking about.
There's a part when
Are we not going to spoil the episode?
Yeah, we are. We are.
we
But
are.
it was when.
Spoilers right now.
Yeah. So when Tyrion decided to
Say Bran?
What? No. Well, you just asked me. Let me finish the whole thing.
It seemed like you were struggling.
I wasn't. Tyrion and Jon Snow. When he tells Jon Snow, you got to do this.
Yeah.
And Jon just, damn it, he's right, and he kills Daenerys. Right. That's because this woman, man, whoever it was, just took this power and in their eyes became this tyrant.
Yeah.
Right.
In her eyes is not a tyrant.
Nope.
Right.
But
Liberator.
she has reached this part to where it's either it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You've come to a place to where it is time for you to go in their eyes. And they took her out. His point was that it was 2 dudes who are doing it as bad optics.
Whose point?
Rokas. It's not bad optics. You don't have to like the moment. But that
So
particular
you're
thing,
saying that 2 men killing a woman is bad optics?
right?
Is that the point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to me, it's like, but it's the same. It's the same discussion of, don't we think that it's also the fact that she was able to rise up and become this leader? The same way Anakin went to the dark side, and we let Anakin, who's a dude, went to the dark side. This girl, in our point of view, and to her point of view, she did not go to the dark side, but to us, she did. Right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, and these 2 people who are not on her side anymore are conspiring, doesn't matter if they're men, women, whatever they are, dwarves, aliens,
Chickens.
chickens, whatever they are, they didn't want her to be in power anymore. So that, and again, and this is not a discussion of if you like the moment or not. It's you just can't throw that out every single time.
No.
Everyone does it, not just him. Everyone does it all the time, and it's like there's sometimes because when it's accurate. And when it is time to do that type of stuff, it devalues it.
Yeah.
And it happens all of the time. There's always that's why I made the thing with Adu. It's like there's always somebody's like, oh, wait a minute, you know what? Everyone's offended about that. That offends me. Yeah. So let's make it a thing. And then it's a hashtag. There's movements and there's petitions. It's like it's exhausting.
Yes.
But the episode itself, you wrote me last night in a text, and you were like, "That's it."
I felt that way.
I feel your pain because
I'm not in pain. I didn't hate it.
No.
It was more just like a.
Yeah, I found the first half of the episode a good continuation of what I saw last episode.
Yes.
And I found the second half pretty dull.
Yes.
It was dull. It was just a
Yeah.
little.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to cut. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But I've been saying this from episode 1 of this season. I was like, if we get a last half hour of the finale and it's fucking Return of the King, I'm going to be really bummed out about it.
kinda
And
what it
that's
was.
exactly what we got.
Yeah, it was.
I agree with that. I'm not angry at it at all, and I'm just wasn't thrilled by it. To make such a strong move as they made in the first 5 episodes of this season, but specifically in the 5th episode, I was just thinking we were going to get more of a powerhouse finale.
Yes,
Yeah.
and here's the problem. This is where I'm on the side of the people with some of the biggest complaints last week. Is where you can feel how rushed the season was, because in 6 episodes, the question is,
I didn't feel like it was rushed until last night.
Right.
That- for me too, I agree.
Right. Because the question was then, okay, fine, you just did that in episode 5, right? But then, how are you going to make all that kind of wind up in one episode? And then with the credits and the previews to Watchmen and everything else too, you're knocking out another 10 minutes. So the whole thing's only like an hour and 15 minutes or whatever it might be. And you're
I
like,
think it was 80 solid, actually.
I don't think so.
It was hour 25 on my DVR. So,
But are you
with
including credits?
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's what I'm
It's
No,
probably-
saying.
I think that the people will tell us.
Yeah, there's
And
no chance that whole thing.
Intro credits I'm including in that, but I think it was 20. I think it was 80 minutes.
I'll put some money on it. So there's no shot. But anyway, the point is that's still, even if it is 80,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
enough time.
I agree with that.
Because of everything they're doing with that lead, the way that they concluded, or not concluded, but or followed up from what we just saw. I thought they spent enough time there, but then you only leave all that time to wrap it up. What's going to happen next? Because I left going, this really just seems like an end of a season.
Totally.
Because who's to say there's not some maniac that's going to try to overthrow Bran? Or Arya's going to get in some other thing, has to come back, or John and the Wildlings have to come back now. It didn't seem.
It's
It
just
seemed-
I know
Sails
that.
West? It
was
You had-
open-ended.
Josh, you had talked about them possibly like 6 feet undering it and doing a fast
Time
forward. And
jump.
I was really hoping when we hit the hour mark and we had kind of solved everything, I was like, oh, we're going to time jump for the
Right.
last
Yes.
I did too.
And we didn't. And it was just like, huh, okay. I don't have I'm not like, it's not a visceral reaction where I'm pissed at all of these things. It just was like, what a strange choice to end up on the Iron Throne. And I have to admit, I was really upset because people tweeted at me earlier in the day saying the leaks have to be true. It's going to be a Democratic vote and Bran's going to sit on the throne. And I saw that beforehand.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like,
you saw it
I
already.
guess that
I didn't
had
see
been that had been leaked.
Was that
and-
before or after the leak of Sam's water bottle showing up? Did you see that?
Yeah,
There's
another one.
There's another
It's a
one. Like
water
you
bottle
zoom in,
sat
and
under his foot.
he's got a water bottle, and it's like it's like jinxed.
It does make me wonder, though.
80 minutes, it says on IMDb.
I know, but that's including all the credits and stuff too. I'm
Sorry.
telling you.
No, so okay, my thought on this whole thing is again, I'll reiterate that I didn't feel like everybody was like it's rushed, it's rushed, it's rushed. I didn't feel like it was rushed until last night.
Yeah.
And then when I look at the finale,
There
I
you
think
go.
to
Look,
myself,
look, zoom in all the way in. Keep zooming in. There it is.
oh my god,
Yeah.
how do you catch that? That's
Yeah, but
unreal.
I'm just wondering how many shows actually have more mistakes like that, and people's aren't just insane.
Right, because there's like a micro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was rushed until last night. And then I watched the finale and I thought to myself, how cool would it have been if the finale of this season was Daenerys lighting up King's Landing?
Right.
That was it. And then we have a whole nother season. Like that,
Right.
I think would have been an amazing way to do Game of Thrones,
I couldn't
right?
agree with you more.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I think-
Because again, you know,
6 episodes for this season, and give me 6 more to
Sure.
wrap it all
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Because it just felt
Yeah.
like the politics and everything. When Jon Snow did what he did, I went, oh, and my mind went to a
And
million things. But what is going to happen?
And I haven't been on the I don't buy that train, well, minus the Daenerys forgetting about the Iron Fleet. But I haven't been on that. I was on that pretty hard last night to where I was like, Grey Worm just let Jon Snow live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? This
Yeah.
Is, I mean, after he just slit a whole bunch of guys' throats because he was so because he's worried about the North.
yes.
Grey Worm's character got very confusing at the
Totally.
end. there.
Grey Worm doesn't kill Jon Snow. I was like, oh man, they killed Snow.
Just wait till I was thinking he's standing there, they're doing all this thing, and then he looks at Jon Snow and just spears him in the head in the neck.
But like, how could he not? He first of all, when Drogon takes off, I was like, okay, because I thought, is he going to drop him off and show the Unsullied, and then the Unsullied would come up? What's going to happen?
Right.
But then
That's
he flies.
what-
But then when he flies off with her, I'm like, oh, maybe they're not going to know, and then John's just going to kind of take the throne here and then divvy up power, and then he's like, no, he's in jail. I'm like, and he's okay.
Right.
They didn't beat him
That
up.
was a weird
They didn't
time
fuck him
jump,
up.
too,
It was
yeah.
such a weird.
Because when we come back and then when they're having that conversation, I'm like, wait, did they know that Danny's dead?
Right.
Wait, when are we
Right.
right now? When are we?
And Drogon
when are we?
Yeah.
Question.
takes Daenerys, and I went, nobody knows what happened. So is he going
right.
to lie?
Right,
Is he
yeah.
going to go? I like so much intrigue that I expect from Game of Thrones is like, nope, he's in jail. And I went,
You're right. How they
Yeah.
let him go to and
don't
then
know.
the whole thing at the end when he shows up because there was the creators kind of laughing at us where everyone thought they was going to divvy up the power and then Sam tried and all laughed in his face. I thought it was funny.
Because I've been saying democracy for the whole
Democracy.
time.
Me too. I thought so too. But then they were like, no, Bran, and I didn't see the Bran thing coming. I didn't, to be honest. I didn't. And then when that happened, they put him in power, and the way that they did it, and then Sansa going, no, but the North's going to stay independent. I was like, so she does get the throne in a certain aspect.
She doesn't get the throne.
She gets the Northern throne.
North. She gets the North.
Yeah, the Northern
Queen of the North.
Queen of the North.
Totally, but she doesn't get the like.
Nobody gets the Iron Throne. It's gone.
Yeah, but Bran does get that. Like that's his position. I think that I would have in Bran's position. I would have preferred Sansa. I would have preferred Jon Snow. I would have preferred Tyrion. So he was way down on my list for that. At least Sansa got something. but I would have preferred her in his position than in the North, even though the North was her focus.
See, the funny thing is, I thought where they all landed up. That part, I might not have liked how we all got there. I actually thought it all made sense. From
Agree.
from the beginning of it, because
it was fine.
Because when they start off the series of how the Lannisters and the Starks have always A, been against each other, but B, have always been about family, right? The fact that a Lannister ends up as the king's hand to a Stark, I thought that was pretty poetic and cool.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Sansa kind of stood forward and did what the North always did, is the North is independent, she rules, and Arya did, I thought what Arya would do is take off and get lost. Although they never used the face thing, and why not even
Never
bring
again.
that up?
There was a whole waste of
I
like a
don't
season and a
understand.
half
I
of
know.
her sweeping
I
dirt.
mean, Walder Frey, like
Walter
that-
Frey. That
was
scene
it.
was
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Yeah.
But that scene was everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. I'm
I
not
thought-
taking
That
it
was
away.
it.
I thought
That's
we
all
were
we
going
got
to
from
see
the faces.
I agree. I thought we were going to see the faces
Oh,
again.
but didn't she
and-
kill Baelish with a face?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are saying that she's traveling, like they're picturing a spin-off with her traveling west of the map, and then she finds, I don't know whether people were joking or not, but America.
Yeah,
No.
Which
I
is
saw
like,
that one.
what is actually happening? Like, are you guys
That is
kidding?
what is like 5 goes west?
Like,
No, they're
it's
not
just
going to do that.
bizarre.
Great reference.
Totally bizarre, but I thought that her storyline, I think, could have wrapped up better. I think Sup with Drogon. I mean,
Yeah.
Where is
we
he?
couldn't see Jon
Well-
Snow ride Drogon to the wall.
Yeah, I see. That was the other thing that I thought, because they'd set up this whole thing that the Targaryens are they're able to. That's a reason why he was able to pass. Obviously, it's the reason why Drogon didn't kill him in the first place. But I thought afterwards he was gonna like put his head down and be like, okay, well now it's me and
Yes.
you. But I get it that it's like, that's my mother. I'm out. Screw you all.
And then Bran said the thing where he's like, I could go check on him because he can ward
Right,
or whatever,
right.
right? But I honestly, I don't have a problem with Bran on the throne. What I have a problem with was I kept saying to people, like, we're going to get a huge payoff with Bran. Something huge is going to happen with Bran, like the whole redemption of it all. Him being king is not the payoff that I wanted. I mean, like, it's cool and everything.
And he knew he was going to be king anyway. He
Yeah.
said that's
It's
why I'm here.
fine.
What do you think I'm here?
I think that is the word.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's totally
was fine.
fine.
It's like
Well,
It's kind of a
why
bummer.
did
It was the second half was
Tyrion-
bummer,
I just
yeah.
don't think Tyrion realistically would have recommended Bran. I think that
That felt weird.
it was interesting. 'cause
did.
It's like, have you guys ever spoken?
Yeah,
Yeah.
never seen it. He did give. Well, Tyrion did go into the member because they thought that Tyrion was the original one that pushed Bran out of the window.
Yes. No, I know that they actually have, but
Like a redemption
and again,
thing.
It's fine that Bran's on the throne. That's
Totally.
okay. But I tweeted this last night. Like, did we really spend a minute of our series finale on Tyrion's OCD fixing chairs? Like, what a strange.
I got a kick out of that.
I got a kick
moment.
out of that,
because
too.
he was
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
so
yeah.
hard,
I
and
liked
they
your
all
tweet.
and then they all
Russ.
came in.
And
They all
messed
came
up
in
the
and
chair.
threw it.
Yeah,
It was really funny.
It's funny, but like we kept spending time on things that I was like, wow. If
Like
we
Ed
if we're
Tully?
running,
You
if
could've
we're
spent
running
it
out
2
of
minutes.
time, if we're running
Yeah.
out of time, there's so many things I could have cut.
Wait,
Right.
what's the uncle's name? He's a Stark, right?
The one
Or-
that stood up to talk,
Yeah.
and they were like, and Sansa was like, "Sit down."
Uncle
When he
sit
banged
down.
when he banged his sword on
Yeah,
the
hit the chair.
I know he's uncle, but I don't know his.
Because he's the
name.
one that doesn't die in the Red Wedding. He's like the
Yeah.
only Stark
he
that
was
survives,
great in
right?
Rome.
I fought,
Rome was great.
I fought in 2 wars, and sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
there? Because, listen, I thought like the beginning part of it, I thought that was going to be like a lot more of the episode, right? The scene that I don't think anybody is talking about, and maybe they are, I just haven't been on social media because it's spoiled, whatever. But the scene where Tyrion finds Jaime and Cersei,
It was great.
That was
It was a
that
good moment.
shot of them
Yeah.
from above.
Yeah.
That might be the best shot of the show. And then the shot of Daenerys walking out into like Nazi Germany, basically,
Yes.
is what,
Yeah,
is what it
with
was.
the wings behind her.
With the
and
wings
stuff.
behind
Yeah,
her.
yeah. Well, her speech was very Hitler-esque.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Very
women,
Hitler-esque.
children, all that.
But it was that loud kind of like the different language, like screaming out to
Yes.
the void and the stomping. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be like Nazi Germany.
Totally.
That was the point of that this woman has now, because every dictator, every leader thinks that their vision and that they are changing the world and for the good. And there were things that she said inside of that speech that she had shown it, and they even said it inside of with Tyrion. He was just like, she thought she was doing right when she killed these people. She thought she was doing right, and we all stood behind her. But there comes one point, that one's the bad one, and then that's when they realized. I thought they delivered that stuff pretty well.
I agree, and one of my favorite moments of the entire episode, because there were a ton that I loved, is when she looks at Tyrion and says, "You committed treason.
Right.
You let your brother go." He said, "I did let my brother go. You killed an entire city,"
right,
Yeah.
right.
and takes off his pin because
Tosses.
you're right. I did do what you just said, but you
You did 100 times worse.
You murdered everybody.
Right. All right, look,
You
we're going to
murdered
take a little bit
everyone.
of break. We'll come back and finish this discussion. During this break, we'll show you some of the regular 3-minute stuff, but then you're going to see Brett Sheridan's 2 minutes of his act that Mark Ellis showed, taped on Friday night from Houston.
I want to rush back to watch it.
Hey guys, Riley here, and let me tell you about Rule of Two. You looking for a Star Wars fix? Well, Rule of Two is that show. It drops on Collider Video's main YouTube channel, as well as on Podcast One's Jedi Council feed. So go over there, subscribe, share it with your friends. It's hosted by myself and Mark Fernandez. We talk everything in the Star Wars universe with a lot of deep dives and a lot of conversations that go all in. You know what to do. Subscribe, join us there, and rise.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Mailbag. A new episode drops every Saturday and Sunday in your face and in your ears, answering the questions from you fans about the world of entertainment, film, and television. Me and great guests from our sphere do the best to answer your questions from Twitter, from Instagram, and of course, email as well. Once again, it's every Saturday and Sunday on the Collider video feed, and also you can listen to us on podcast, on the Movie Talk podcast feed, every Saturday and Sunday.
Hey guys, it's Dennis here, one of the hosts of Thrones Talk, our weekly Game of Thrones review show that happens live right after the episodes drop on Sunday night. So check us out. We talk about all the cool things that happen on Game of Thrones that night and what we think is going to happen in the future. You can find it on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Videos, or you can find it on the podcast feed, both on the Collider TV Talk podcast feed and the Collider Factory podcast feed.
Hi, I'm Coy Jandro, host of Collider Heroes, and I'm here to tell you we've got 20-minute episodes coming at you on Collider Video, on the YouTube, as you've always loved it. Plus, now we've got hour-long podcasts dropping every Thursday, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast because it's going to get even more sweaty on the podcast. Plus, every week, we're going to try to get some very special guest interviews, all of the people that help shape these movies and TV shows you love. So, video, podcast, interviews, all coming at you. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much, guys. Stay sweaty.
Hey guys, Perry Nemrov here to let you know that The Witching Hour is all over Collider right now. You can listen to that Horrorville podcast with myself, with Haley Fouch. We talk about witchiness, we talk about slashers, we talk about space horror, you name it, all on that show on the Collider Factory feed. We also have clips on the Collider Podcast YouTube channel, and on top of that, you can find an article all about Witching Hour every single Tuesday on Collider.com. Check it out, get scared. Hopefully you survive the Witching Hour.
What's up, Collider fans? Ryan Satin here from ProWrestlingSheet.com, where you can find the top stories throughout the week in the world of professional wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan like myself, then you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not checking out all the shows we do every week on YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. In particular, on Wednesdays, we've got a SmackDown recap show hosted by John Roca and myself, where we pick apart and talk about every little thing that happened on the Blue Brand. So do yourself a favor and go subscribe at youtube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet.
You might have seen him on the legendary web series The Guild a few years ago, an Acme Comedy regular back in the day. Please welcome Brett Sheridan! Big applause there. So first thing you want to do as a comic is tell people you haven't done stand-up in a long time. Really sets the... I came to a professional comedy show! Yes. So I haven't done it in a while, but I know one thing about comedy. It's timeless. It's timeless. So I'm going to start with some of the old stuff and work up to some more old stuff. Have you seen the shit that's going down with our president? I think this Monica Lewinsky gal is gonna get good and out of big trouble. A little bit about myself. I'm half German, half Irish, and half Russian. And we all know what that means. I'm not good with math. Hey, Hey, you guys, I got a little public service announcement for you. I see a lot of people drinking out there. I'm a bit of a drinker myself, but recently I was thinking, I got to test something out. I got to see if I am, in fact, an alcoholic. Or, okay, I had a couple beforehand. I am an alcoholic. So what you do, you gather all your friends together as an intervention for yourself. And you look around the room and you say, hey, guys, I just want to tell you something. I'm thinking of giving up drinking. Even water? Fuck you, Gary.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Brett Sheridan hitting the stage, his return, and he's jacked up. He's ready to go back.
I mean, I got to watch the video after the show, but I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it. Yeah.
All right, we are going to get back to Game of Thrones here too for those joining us. There's close to like 4,000 people watching live right now. So
Can I address what you started the conversation with? Not too much, but just as the one with the vagina in the room,
Sure.
Based off of what John Roca said. I so strongly do not feel that way. I do not feel that having two men strategize to kill Daenerys at the end of this in any way, shape, or form is bad optics. I think that this was one man who's very in love with a person having to, like they talked about, when you have to duty over love, love over duty, like that entire speech. And I think that Tyrion loved her as well. There, if you wanted,
and they said it as much inside of the thing.
Tyrion is so disappointed in him.
She had to die, and John was the right person to do it. If it hadn't been him and it needed to be a woman, I guess Arya could have done it, but she had already taken out the Night King. It wouldn't have done anything for her character.
And she
John's
gave up
character needed this for his development. So just as I will say, I think I have, not that not everybody can have an opinion on it. John's allowed to feel upset about it, but if he's upset for women, I don't feel that way.
Right. And it's funny because I didn't see a lot of that except from him, and it just set me off in the fact that I just see other things that happen so much so about every time someone brings something up, they bring, social stuff into it. And it's just like, again, you don't like the writing, but we can't use excuses for everything all the time. There are warranted times that it should be brought up. I agree. But it just devalues it.
What I will say that I think is better to focus on if John wants to fight that fight is, Mo Ryan, she's a reporter for Variety, and she put out a piece that said, only 2.5% of these episodes have been directed by women. Only this amount of women are in the writer's room. Only this amount and that's a fight worth fighting. If you want more more women voices in there so that we can write stronger women characters, that's totally a fight that you can fight.
And that's a different conversation, and I agree with you 100%.
But I think they did a pretty great job with their women characters.
I was going to say, the women characters, I think, in Game of Thrones are unlike any women characters we've seen on TV in a long time.
I love Sansa's arc, and I think she winds up leading the North, and the fact that for this duration of this series, we've been hearing and screaming in this office, King of the North, and it ends with Queen of the North. Right. I thought that was pretty awesome. It's pretty empowering.
I agree. So I think if you're going to pick a sexism fight to fight, work on getting women in writers' rooms, and that's all I can say about that. Although I think the show did a really great job with the stories.
Here's the thing. I think that I don't know how I would rewrite certain things. I would. Of the finale, because I'm in a minority, or at least a non-vocal majority, that I've really enjoyed the first 5 episodes of this season.
No,
really
I think everybody in this room is in the same place as you, actually.
So if I was going to do anything, I'd rewrite the finale. However, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Jon Snow going back to the wall," even though the wall's in. No, I've been in the thing of he really has never wanted anything about the Iron Throne, right? He went to the Night's Watch when he didn't really have to. He wanted to leave to help his brother, but then he stayed and yada yada.
He fit in well with the Wildlings.
Totally. And the best time of his life was when he was with Ygritte and he's with the Wildlings.
Yep.
And that's where he went back. And he and Tormund are basically going to become like Mance Rayder, and they're going to be the kings of the free folk.
Because Tormund said to him when he was leaving, he's like, "I wish you were coming with us." He's like, "I wish I was coming with you."
Yeah.
And they set that up.
Totally.
And so when he came back, it was like watching Han and Chewie get back together.
Totally. I just wish that we would have gotten a little more like. Maybe this is the dumb pitch, but okay. So the dragon melts the throne. He takes off with Daenerys, lays her in Valyria, and we see that, and or a Dragonstone, and that's where she's put to rest. And I mean, you got to be honest. Jon Snow hasn't been in love with anybody since Ygritte. Was he ever really in love with Dany? Perhaps. The chemistry was never the same as it was with Ygritte, in my opinion. And then He's loyal to her this whole time. He sees the flip, the whole meltdown of everything. He has to kill her. He's totally brokenhearted. So him going beyond the wall to live the rest of his life makes total sense to me. However, I would have liked the dragon to take Daenerys back to Dragonstone, lay her to rest, do whatever he's got to do, or whatever a dragon does. I don't even know if we even see it. Dragon comes back, Jon gets on it, lights up the Unsullied. Like,
but that would go against everything that he was just saying. The whole reason he wanted to do is why kill them?
I think after what he did with Dany, what made the most sense was him questioning it, him talking and saying, "I don't know if this was right," and them saying, "Well, in 10 years, we'll see. Ask me later."
You know what did break my heart though, because we had that moment because Dinklage doing the stuff with Jaime and Cersei. That was a good moment. That for sure. When Drogon was trying to wake her up with his claw,
crushed me.
Yeah, I was
crushed.
Like it was just like it was. Like, it reminded me like a dog who found its owner and is just kind of nudging it.
But it was pretty powerful too that he didn't just light Jon Snow on fire. You know that he blows all that fire, and we look and we see the power of Jon Snow, but he just still doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. It's not like he's sitting there watching the throne go in. It's like, no, that's my seat.
No,
it's like good. Yeah.
I mean, the dragon's saying full well that like I made this, or my ancestors made this throne. If my mom can't have it, nobody can have it. Goodbye.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the throne.
Yeah. I just wish we had a little bit more from Drogon and that we knew where he was. But like I said, and I stand by this, even though I preferred last week's episode, it's not my show. It's the creator's show and story to tell. That doesn't mean I have to like it, but I definitely respect what they've done. And I think that they...
You can't take anything away from that.
Yeah. I mean, they still created one of the best shows of all time.
I was having a conversation with Ken, who's maybe the biggest Game of Thrones fanatic that we know.
Did he like last night?
I didn't talk to him about this episode yet,
okay.
but we've talked about this series in general, and I think there was a lot of pushback on Benioff and Weiss obviously after last episode, and everyone has been going and saying, well, since it took off from the books, they've lost their way and they're just terrible writers. They were been writing and been involved with the script writing of this show since day one. So all the stuff that you liked before this, they were involved in. Stuff that didn't happen in the books that you liked, they were part of this.
Totally.
So
I think people who are saying that they were better at adapting source material and creating dialogue and situations from the source material.
That's exactly right. But they still created this stuff for television, the other things that they did. But there were other stuff that was not in the books that they created that we liked. That was one of the points Ken made. But that being said, I go back to the point that I thought this episode was
lackluster.
Lackluster. It was kind of dull.
But I don't feel any less about this series. But if they had a powerhouse finale, maybe I would feel stronger.
I think I agree with you. I think that it's one of those shows. It wasn't Seinfeld ending.
See, I actually like the Seinfeld finale, but I know I'm in a vast minority.
Sure.
I'm with you on
This
that.
is funny. I just wrote another article. Hopefully, that's going to get published where I reference
Seinfeld.
all the different finales that I know that we disagree on.
Alex, you've been monitoring the chat room. Have they been? Because it looks like this last episode and the season in general has been split. Does it seem pretty split in the comments, or is it leaning one way?
Seems pretty split. Most people are just giving their opinions on how it's going, and
What's it doing?
they seem like it's mainly split down the middle.
All right.
Good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk.
I think it's the problem with not the problem. The beautiful thing about having mass appeal of something is that obviously nobody's ever going to agree with everything, right? Like Steelers win, Steeler fans going to be really happy with how it goes. There's no like winner per se in Game of Thrones because you want certain things for your characters. I think what I wanted the most was just a little more explanation of Bran. Just like a little more of why we're putting Bran. And in the entire series, did anybody ever call him Bran the Broken at any time?
Yeah, what was
Where's that name
I
coming from?
Created it on the spot.
Right.
What I did see it, and I don't want
Riley the Rowdy.
I don't want to speak for a group of people that I'm not a part of, but a lot of handy capable people were really upset by this. I saw on Twitter, Bran the Broken, talking about how that's like a very
They might as well call him Chris the Cripple.
I saw them from what I was seeing. People were really bummed by that.
But it's the same thing. To me, this is a fantasy realm where people back in the day, like 40 years ago, 50 years ago in this country, people said and referenced people, and non-racist people, to just think certain terminology was right to say, and it wasn't, right? And there's certain things, and this is thousands of years ago or whatever, not even thousands of years ago, in a different place, different realm, that where maybe to them it's not an insult.
Right,
It's like it's not.
but
It's
what Josh's point being that they wish he had done it before. I think if there had been more build up to why
They
he's
call him that.
broken, as opposed to like it's just a physicality.
Yeah,
thing.
it kind of felt like it was just a physicality thing instead of like he was mentally broken down,
Yeah.
physically broken
Because
down.
broken can mean so many different things,
Yeah.
or like he was broken into saying yes to being king. Like
Yes.
right. It just wasn't explained.
It
well
wasn't
enough.
explained, so
Yeah.
I think people are able to get offended by that because there's no
Sure.
storyline.
I know.
It's way less. It's way more understandable of a social justice
It
kind
is.
of a thing.
It is. But
than-
I guess I'm
You're
just.
just
so,
you're
no,
over it. I
I'm
know.
tired
Listen,
of everybody
Christian.
being offended by everything. I'm just.
Yeah.
Me too, I
There
know.
is more of a reason for people to be offended by that, and I get it. It's just like you turn on anything.
Yeah.
And someone is offended by something, and I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. It's like every whether it's Twitter or Facebook or people watch a show, you can't just create anymore because what am I going to do now? Or like I said, we say it all the time with stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
What am I going to say now that makes somebody get so offended? Now there's a petition. Now they're trying to get me to lose my job. Now they're trying to get me to
This
break up my marriage. Now they're trying to do this,
petition
do this. And it's like, oh my
This
God.
petition thing is so obnoxious.
Did you see the
Petitions for
response?
everything.
But I think Benioff and Weiss said this is true. Did you see the response
No.
that they did? I think this might have been an Onion thing. I don't know. Can we double check to see if this is true? Benioff and Weiss did a rebuttal to the people who were pissed off. And said something along the lines of just like write it yourself, and they were like they had like cigars like sitting on Porsches or something. I don't. It's got to sound like an Onion type thing.
There was no Benioff and Weiss after this one,
Right.
right?
There's a documentary next week.
Yeah.
Right, but there was nothing after
No.
this one,
No,
right?
there wasn't.
I
Maybe-
fasted forward.
It must have been an Onion thing that I saw because
It's like I think we're splitting hairs a little bit here because I don't think any one of us in here is like really butthurt about how it ended or
No,
like really
definitely not.
bummed out about it.
my
Or
wife
like-
turned to me though and she's like, so what'd you think? Is it a good ending? And I was like, that was all right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go on and try to find a show to watch next week.
That's what I literally.
It's like Truman Show.
I texted you saying that was it.
Yeah. Do you remember Truman Show? At the end of Truman Show when,
Yeah.
when they're watching, they're glued to the edge of the seat, and then they're like, all right, what's on next?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, and if anything, I'm just really upset it's no longer in our lives.
Me too.
Yeah.
In this scene because I would have liked, honestly, one more season. I don't need a Walking Dead season 14, kind of a situation. Even though I think The Walking Dead has made the greatest comeback in TV history.
It's the best that it's ever been.
Wow.
People, holy crap!
100%.
It's the best comeback of all time.
Yeah. Well-
Like if you're a sports fan, this
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
But I think
they're not
with,
getting
like-
they're not getting the old viewers back.
no.
though.
No,
Not
they're,
even close.
they're not, and that's such a bummer because you could start fresh
Yeah.
at that split.
Totally.
It's the best it's ever been.
Yep.
Wow.
But I think, if we did get one more season, I think we could have really done something pretty damn spectacular. Even if it was like 4 episodes. And there was like a battle and
Yeah.
Daenerys and all this kind of a thing.
6 was too rushed.
It was
way
totally-
too
yeah.
rushed.
Do you guys think we will ever see this cast, any of these cast members in a TV show sequel?
Arya maybe.
Yeah, maybe Arya.
Yeah, Arya is probably the best chance, and maybe having Sophie Turner inside of that episode. You could see them doing something with Snow if they wanted to, but I thought that they were initially going to do a prequel. Weren't
They're
they?
doing a
They were
prequel.
gonna-
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why
cast-
I'm asking
yeah.
a separate question.
Yeah,
It's like Naomi Watts is going to be in the prequel,
Okay.
right? But a lot of those spin-off ideas they haven't really announced. I
Right.
wonder if there's some characters in there that we're going to
What's
see
George
later.
R.R. Martin's involvement? Is he just doing? Oh yeah, we didn't bring up the Song of Ice and Fire that they bring up at the end.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one thing, and then also Gwendolyn Christie writing the stuff about Jamie. Do we like that
I
stuff?
did like the
I
stuff
like
with
that a
Jamie.
lot.
I think it's so true to who she is.
Yeah.
I don't think any one of us in this room would have gone and been written that. I think it would have been more like piece of poop who did. But
Died protecting his queen.
yeah, I thought that was really perfect. And then what was the other one you just asked about?
The Song of Ice and Fire.
I saw Kay Cannon tweeted. Did you guys see
No.
that? She was like, it looks like the props department got a little tired towards the end. If you like zoom in on the book, it literally like Viv could have absolutely made this. Like it's like a scrapbook.
Is it like a colored pencil with like little
Yeah.
markers?
Yes, and it's like outside the lines. I wonder if you look at Kay Cannon's tweet, she has the picture of it.
And is this too much like?
It's so
Is
good.
by doing that in that book, is that too much like the Family Guy thing when they do like
They said it.
Oh, there
when
it
they,
is.
when
They
they
said
say
the
it.
title.
I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be a dick here, but it sort of feels like the prop department got tired.
If
Let's
you
see,
zoom in,
It's just like.
Yeah,
it
that
really
does look like
they're.
Josh Macuga does
not
a
the
project
best.
on Italy, and
Like
it's
they didn't color in the lines. Like,
Yeah.
Again, this doesn't break the show for me in any way. It's just kind of funny where it's like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so them
Paint by
doing that,
numbers.
is that the first time they mentioned it at all in
Yeah.
Southern the series? 'Cause it was, you know, throw.
Yeah.
I thought they
No,
had
I thought the
mentioned it
same
once
thing.
before.
I'm not sure, but either way, I thought was kind of a fun way to do that. But yeah, it definitely felt the first half tied in very nicely. The second half was just like you said, Return of the King. Now let's
Yeah.
just put everything together and tie everything up. This is where everybody's going.
Well, dude,
go.
how in Return of the King, who gets on a boat? Frodo. Who
Right.
gets on a boat? Arya. They're all getting on boats, just like see. And there was so many different cuts to Arya just smiling on a boat. We get it. She's on the boat and she likes it.
Yeah.
And I know as a human being,
Put on a face and
I
kill Grey
should-
Worm. I don't know.
I should be happy for her that she's finding this peace.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked revenge-seeking Arya
Me
best.
Me too.
So I wouldn't have minded if she was sailing off with somebody else's face and was like just going to
ready to
mess shit up.
Yeah, they just kind of left that on the table, that whole angle. She's like, yeah, I'm over it now. I'm going to try to kill Cersei. And Hound says, no, don't do that. All right, I'm going to get on a white horse.
Well,
and
here's
get
the
out of here.
thing too is like
Well, she did try. She went to go kill Cersei, but she
That's
found
what I'm saying. But the Hound said, and the Hound was like, don't.
And Arya said her queen beat her to it.
Yeah,
Your
her
queen beat me
her
to it.
Yeah, but the Hound, but that's again, that's not really what happened because I guess so because she was already lighting the place on
Yeah,
fire.
yeah.
But the Hound said, you can go and kill her if you want, but I'm dead if you go, and you're gonna die too. So is it worth it? And that's where she decided it's not worth it. She could have kept on the revenge thing, killed her.
I don't think she did decide that. I think she just saved herself first and then was going to, and then she was already dead. There was
You don't think she decided not to die?
She started to
think
save
she decided-
that little girl and the mother. Remember,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
got like
Yes.
involved there, and then it was just so much around her. I don't think she had a chance.
But I think she was planning
I
on
think she was too.
ultimately going there.
Yeah.
I think
there
she
was a
gave it
lot
up.
of internet talk about this green eyes, brown eyes, blue eyes thing.
What the
You
hell
guys
is
see all
that?
this? No.
Go on.
It was similar to this was similar to the witch's prophecy for Cersei. Arya was going to kill the brown-eyed, green-eyed, blue-eyed. Did you guys remember
Yeah.
this? When even was
So she
this
killed the
maybe?
blue eye, which
So
is the
and
White
some people
Walker.
are saying she didn't, and
killed
there's,
the blue eye. She
and there's
killed-
questions on whether
White
the White
Walker.
Walker's eyes, whether the Night King's eyes were blue or were they green, and under what like image you were looking at, what did it look like?
Turn up the brightness on your
This was
TV.
one of those things where I couldn't have cared less, but the internet seemed pretty upset about the whole blue-eyed, green-eyed, brown-eyed situation.
There were a couple prophecies that weren't exactly fulfilled. You know what? One of my biggest issues in the finale was Yara Greyjoy, who just like disappeared to the Iron Islands. She's like, I'm gonna sit here because if the fleets come back, I'll be able to protect
Right,
the Iron
right.
Islands. Well, you needed to come fight, first of all. Second of all, she's like, I was promised the Daenerys Targaryen. You met Daenerys Targaryen for like 8 seconds. Just because she
That's
had a
what
dragon.
Sansa says.
Yeah.
Pretty much like
And so Yara and Grey Worm get to decide the fate of Jon friggin' Snow?
Right.
Like they don't tell everybody
Well,
that he's a Targaryen?
Grey Worm though has more of a stake to do it at that point than Yara does,
totally.
for sure. But
do you guys think that if Dany had given it a different answer to John, he wouldn't have killed her?
yes, because
I think
there's
so,
a
too.
particular
I think so,
thing
too.
that she says at the end where it's like they'll all see it or they'll all be ruled. Basically, is
Yeah.
what that's when in his eyes he's like, yeah, she's gone.
So in that case, I don't even know how you could say it's Tyrion and John. It's just John and Dany, based off her response.
Tyrion nudged him through to go find out.
Tyrion says like this is your duty,
Yeah.
but Tyrion didn't walk him up
Duty.
and.
Mountain Duty.
Did you laugh every time they said duty on the show last
only
night?
only when your name is Duty, like Allison Duty or Father Duty, that'll get me. But when you're going to do your duty, no. Depending what kind of duty you're going to do, but this was a different
The
kind
Jon
of duty.
Snow kind of duty.
That was a duty of like acting
Of
out and
epic
doing your duty,
proportions.
not eating too much dragon meat and then having to do duty. Go ahead.
Dragon meat. Wow, that's gotta be a sin to eat, right?
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
Please finish your
Wolf,
duty.
We got Wolf.
We got
yeah,
Oh, that
Ghost.
yeah, that was
finally petted Ghost.
that was good.
It
He,
was
funny,
good.
You saw his ear was wrecked. I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, he got messed up in the
Yeah,
battle
he
for
got messed
Winterfell.
up, but it was nice to finally to where that was again. We jumped and said, okay, John didn't even get a chance to see him, but he saw him and he's with them, and that was cool. I was glad Ghost got to live.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as soon as he got up to what was left of Castle Black and Tormund was there, I was like, all right, he's going to live with his best bud,
Yeah.
and they're going to
With
go
his
live with the
dog.
free folk and his dog, and just like like live the dream up there in the north. It might be cold, but at least they. I mean, if they get hot down there with all that fur.
It's a wolf. I know.
It's a wolf.
I know. We get it. Okay, look, that's our discussion with Game of Thrones, and probably will last until the prequel or the other shows come out. So hopefully we all scream and yell for a little bit, whether we liked it or not, and then we all live in peace and go live with the wildlings. Okay, when we get back, McG, director, producer, he's going to be in here talking about Rim of the World, a new movie coming out May 24th on Netflix, and we will have him in studio to talk about it.
Hey guys, Perry here to let you know about the new edition of Collider Movie Talk. We are going to 5 days a week. We have a short, sweet 20-minute show where we focus on the 2 biggest stories of the day. You can expect to see all of your favorite Collider personalities on the show, including Jeff Snyder, John Roca, Haley Fouch. You're getting Josh McCouga every Friday. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be informative, fun. Come join us, 3 p.m. PT Live every single day of the week, right here on the Collider Video YouTube channel. You can also find the show on the Collider Movie Talk feed on our podcast network, so go watch, go listen, however you prefer to get all of your movie news.
Hi, I'm Amy Dallin, one of the hosts of Collider Heroes, and starting right now, you can catch our show at a new time and format. We're coming at you Tuesday nights with a new shorter Collider Heroes and a longer Collider Heroes podcast, where Coy and I are gonna talk your ears off. You already know that's coming. So make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe, and find us on the Collider Heroes podcast feed for all of that sweaty goodness.
Hey everyone, John Roca here, the host of Collider Sports Time. Well, you know, if you've been watching us every week, you know we break down the latest and the greatest in the world of sports, talk about the big issues, the big games, all of it with a rotating band of guests like Matt Nose and Josh McCouga. We've had Taylor Bisciotti on. We've had so many great guests. Now, if you want to see more of Sports Time or you want to try it out for the first time, remember to subscribe to Collider Sports YouTube channel. And if you want to take us along with you in your ears, you can go and subscribe to the Collider Sports podcast feed for all the sports goodness.
Hey guys, it's Riley here. Let me tell you about the Riley Roundtable. You know it, right? It drops every Thursday on Collider Conversations, and I have guests from all across the space. John Roca, Gray Drake, Alexander Desplat came on at one point. We talk everything from movies, we talk about life, and everything in between. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? It's the Riley Roundtable every Thursday on Collider Conversations. You get it there.
Hello, how are you guys doing? I'm Christian Harloff. I'm the host of Collider Jedi Council. We talk about everything Star Wars, and if you want to catch our weekly show where we talk about the latest and greatest in Star Wars, it's movie news, it's canon, it's all of it. We take questions from you guys. How do you do it? Main channel, that's right here. Subscribe to this channel, and you can listen, you can watch, you can do all of it, but if you want to just listen to it, you got the podcast feed too. Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, you can listen to it in your car. Do all of it. It's Star Wars. Episode 9's coming out, and then after Episode 9, you got TV shows, so we're going to be your sports center for Star Wars. Do it. Come on. Be real.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here live on Collider Live, obviously here on this Monday, and before we get to our guests, I have to make an apology, apparently. I said Scorchies.
Scorchies.
Torchies.
Torchies.
Torchies in Houston. That's the place
Wow,
that...
you did not correct him either.
No, he didn't.
I was in Houston down.
4 years
Doesn't matter.
ago.
It's delicious. It's
Yeah.
Torchies is delicious. So thank
Torchies.
you, and sorry to all the Houston people I offended. Joining us today, there is a new movie on Netflix coming out on Friday, May 24th. Rim of the World, and the director here in studio, McG. Pleasure to have you, man.
How are you guys?
Good to have you.
Delighted to be here.
Yeah, man. So we were talking about a little bit off air. Back in the day when I was working at Warner Brothers for a bit, I got to meet you, and every time I talk, whether I talk about you or hear about your projects coming on, I always talked how nice of a person you were to me when I was there. You were very just a genuine dude, and it was good. So when they said you're coming in here to talk, I want to hear about this project, man. Let's
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks. I've been with you guys a long time.
I know.
Yeah, it's just Rim of the World. It's sort of an ode to my favorite movies growing up, sort of the early days of Amblin. It's if you take a little of E.T. and a little of a I don't know, Stand By Me and Healthy Dose of Stranger Things, what have you. You just get kids with problems saving the world, and that sort of defined me, and I'm emotionally frozen at that moment in my life, so it felt like a natural thing to do.
It felt like that too because I didn't want to know anything about it yet when I watched the trailer. So and then it did have a bit of that feel, a little bit like first of all like an Independence Day when I saw it, but then when you make this mention of Amblin, you could see that for sure, especially with the kids, and that they're going to become the main focus. And where did it all come from as far as deciding that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, it's just something that seems to speak to my aesthetic, and really all I look for is the opportunity to synthesize genres that don't traditionally coexist. And I like to make big pop material, but if you look a little more deeply, there's something subtextually going on underneath it. And I mean, I think to some degree that's what we did with the OC.
Yeah.
I think it's what we did with Charlie's Angels, where it's like, oh, these are big shiny pop experiences, but at the same time, there are funky references for those who choose to dive a little more deeply and pay a little bit more attention. So it just tickles the fancy of the passionate.
Now, when you go into Netflix and you want to do this because of who you are and what you've accomplished in your career, because this movie, it's got to look big, it's got to feel big, and like and as far as getting the budget that you want, are you, because of who you are and what you've been able to do, a little easier to get the budget that you want, or is it you guys kind of agree right up top when you do this movie?
Well, I mean, a little bit of both, and it's not like the old days when I was a kid doing it. I mean, I don't know. When I got started making music videos, and the first movie I did was the Charlie's Angels movie, where you needed a ton of dough for visual effects, you needed a ton of dough to transfer from film to digital. Just things were really difficult, and it was prohibitive to get in there and make it look great. Now, short of paying somebody, you got to pay big stars big money, and that drives your budget up. I don't really know why you would spend disproportionate money on a film at this point, with the exception of, what clearly Disney's doing better than anybody else. With the Marvel Universe, Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Disney Animation and what have you. I mean, that kind of dominates the world, and every once in a while, you have a Bohemian Rhapsody or you have, a Fast and Furious, but it feels like those are the movies that have a headlock on giant expenditure, 2 and 3 week dominance at the box office. And other than that, it's thrilling to be a part of a world where Roma can exist. I don't know what Roma is in a theatrical release.
Well, that's your question then, as far as the Masters of the Universe then. Is that one of the things that happened then? Because was it too much money that does that movie need a lot of money to make it work?
No, I think Masters of the Universe is going to be awesome. I mean, that was just a point where I never synced up with my dear friend Tom Rothman, who kind of raised me. Who's at Sony now. I know him from the early days at Fox, and I just wanted to make a movie that was a lot more in keeping with what James Gunn is up to in Guardians. And I think they wanted it just a little bit more serious. There was never any fireworks or any craziness. It's just a little bit of a difference of it doesn't feel like it's in the cards. And, we were always cool with budget and what have you. And I've always thought that was a fun property that's ripe for reinvention and expression. And hopefully they'll get it right. But yeah, it's just, I mean, there was no drama. Sanford Panich is the guy that runs the studio on behalf of Tom Rothman. Yeah. And Rothman is my guy. I mean, we've been up, we've been down. When he left Fox under less than desirable circumstances, he'll tell you. Yeah. We were together having lunch within 48 hours. So I mean, we're cool, but we just didn't want to make that movie the same way. And that one is a giant budget number. Right. So you got to be synced up with your partners on that, or it's best to just sort of shake hands and say, "See you on the next one."
What did you think of the first Masters of the Universe?
The Dolph Lundgren.
The Dolph one? Yeah.
I mean, it has a special place in my heart just because of the time in which I saw it and what it meant to my fragile eggshell mind of a youth. But I think there's a lot of room, and I mean, who doesn't like Frank Langella and the whole thing? So, but I think there's a lot of room for a new take that would blow your mind.
Yeah.
When it comes to Rim of the World, how does that come to be then? Does Zach Stentz, the writer, come to you and say, let's go bring this to Netflix? Is he with Netflix and they approach you? Are you looking to do a Netflix project and this one just comes? How does that actually go into development?
No, I mean, about 20 years ago, I started my production company, Wonderland. And, we've always just been on the lookout for cool things. And we don't want to do anything but cool things. And then we find a way for that to express itself. And, if you look at a guy like Chris Nolan's like, I did Inception, I'm the Batman guy, Dunkirk. He's like, I make a movie every 3 years, drop the mic, that's it. I'm Chris Nolan, deal with it, I'm the best there is. And you just go, okay, cool. But that's never been my thing. My thing has always been to make some sort of contribution to the cultural conversation certainly every year, if not every 6 months, if we have it our way. So this was no different. I mean, we found a piece of material that we thought was zeitgeisty and fun and would be talked about because it works, I'm hoping, equally well for adults as it does for kids. And it's a little timeless in that regard. So we had it at the production company. And then I said, let's take this to our friends at Netflix. And we got it done. And I mean, just to that point, I mean, one of the things I'm most excited what we're doing right now is this thing. Do you guys know this character, Kirby Jenner?
No.
Kirby Jenner is this guy that created a sort of false Instagram account and has a character where he's the fraternal twin of Kendall Jenner. And he's like a 5'2", kind of not so attractive, traditionally speaking, dude with a funny mustache that was in every famous shot Kendall Jenner's ever in, but like got edited out by Anna Wintour.
I have seen this. Yes,
so we're making this sort of Christopher Guest take documentary that's like the TV show version of
this is right up your alley.
You'll go crazy.
Yeah.
Just check it. It's hysterical. The guys behind it are so smart.
Yes.
And again, that's just I look at Brian Grazer and Ron Howard. Ron Howard's obviously a very potent and excellent filmmaker, but also imagine the company has just been relevant for a lot longer than you could have expected, and that's just my goal with Wonderland also. And I've always been partnered with a woman. I got started with Stephanie Savage, and then for the last 10 years, it's been Mary Viola. And I think that's good for me so I don't turn into too much of a macho idiot. And it balances it out, and we've been able to contribute cool things every year or two.
And speaking of which, you have kicked so much ass at television. I mean, man, the stuff you produce with TV, Chuck and OC, and so obviously with doing movies like this, and I think Netflix gives such a fun kind of new playground for a lot of people, creatives, but going more into television again, too, series-wise. What about Netflix? A Netflix television series, another one. Anything you're looking to do there?
Well, right now, my new thing for television is I'm doing True Lies. So we're doing at Disney Plus. We're doing
When was that announced?
It's not, but I guess I'm announcing it, which I don't mean to do. But I mean, we're
we just got it,
dude.
Yeah, so True Lies at Disney Plus, which is exciting, and I don't know if I should even be talking about that yet, but I think the cat's out of the bag. I'm writing that one, which is very exciting because I'm so passionate about that story where you think you know your partner but you don't.
Yeah. Is Arnold coming back, or is it something rebooted?
Well, I mean, it's there's talk of that, but it's largely rebooted, but there may be a spot there. We'll see.
How far into the process are you now?
Just breaking the outline and just getting it going. But that's I mean, I'll spend the summer writing that.
I was just in Newport, Rhode Island this weekend where they shot some of the first True Lies, and they're like, "This is where they shot this in True Lies." It's crazy.
How did you get involved?
I mean, obviously, I met Jim in the whole Terminator of it all. I would go down to the Avatar set and talk to Sam Worthington, and he was always very kind to me. I mean, even through it all, we didn't get what we wanted out of Terminator Salvation. I mean, we did okay, and the movie worked in many ways, but ultimately didn't quite achieve what I wanted it to achieve. And it's one of those things where it's like, we came so close, but we didn't quite get there. But Cameron always kind of stayed by me. He never really wrote me off. And his partner, John Landau, and I just talked to the woman they made that movie with, Ray Sankini. So it was Ray and John and Jim. And I just said, here's why I think True Lies is so important. And they were kind enough to let me take the ball and run with it.
Damn,
man, that's
awesome.
Awesome.
So that's it. But the TV stuff is cool because I mean, look at Supernatural.
Right.
I mean, probably the best thing I've ever been associated with at the end of the day is Supernatural.
Yeah.
It's the longest running American science fiction show in history.
Crazy.
So I mean, David Nutter did the pilot, and obviously, the two boys have been around so long doing it, and there's a huge fan base for that.
Next season is the last season? Yeah.
Correct.
I remember we were doing Film HQ and the Comic Con HQ when that launched a few years ago, and Rob Benedict and they came on because they were doing a show for Comic Con HQ, and as soon as they said Supernatural, that place exploded. I mean,
crazy,
it's
right?
insane. Yeah, the fan base for that's just it's awesome.
Well, they have their own conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, they do the Comic-Con thing, but at the same time, they do their own standalones, which is mental.
But do you have the same because you were so successful producing television, and that you're able to, that it gives you a little bit more? There aren't like handcuffs, or you have a little bit more freedom of what you want to do when it comes to directing, because you have this amazing cushion when it comes to television producing. You've produced so many TV shows that have just kind of taken off that you can do pretty much. There's a lot of different projects that you want to direct. I'm going to take a shot at this.
Yeah, I mean the good thing is I know the people that I need to know to see if there's an appetite to do it. But as you guys know, first and foremost, there's no one's going to do anything because you're friends with them. It has to work for, I mean, one of my dear friends is Craig Erwick. He runs Hulu, and I can't just go down there and go, hey Craig, I want to do that. It's got to work for what he's trying to do at Hulu. So, and I think anybody would tell you that same thing. Back to Chris Nolan, he might even tell you that same thing.
Right.
As much as it's like I'm Chris Nolan, this is my new hey. The British Expeditionary Force is caught on a beach in northern France. A lot of people do say, don't really care until you say Chris Nolan's doing it. Then they're like, okay, let's get after that. That sounds fantastic.
Well, that was my point when it comes to Netflix too, because Netflix has so much material and they have so many movies that when they say it's got to be, all right, well, here's this alien invasion movie with these kids. Well, McGee wants to do it. Okay, that's more attractive now. Now we want to do it.
It helps. It helps. And I mean, just also because we have a reputation of being responsible and putting it all up on the screen, and you can't really hide the truth after a while in any community. I mean, whether it's a Hollywood production community or like you guys got to do it. I mean, everybody, your audience starts to see what it's all about. The people that you're partnered with see what you're all about, and the true colors kind of come out. So I don't know. I mean, we've left a good taste in the mouth of our partners more often than not. Yeah. And we've acted responsibly, and a lot of our stuff punches above its weight and overachieves. And the Netflix thing began with The Babysitter, which punched over its weight. I mean, because it was just kind of this funny little Brian Duffield experimental movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? I used to kid with Quentin Tarantino of all people, who gave me my start, that I made this odd little movie that is more reminiscent of our time hanging out together down at A Band Apart than anything else. And then the world really responded to it. And I don't think that movie would have worked in a traditional capacity. It needed a Netflix opportunity to kind of explode.
We were talking last week about Netflix and rom-coms. I'm a huge rom-com fan, right? And Netflix kind of giving a lot of the rom-com love to it. Roxy too. Like, we talk about rom-coms all the time. You don't see a ton of rom-coms in theaters anymore. Obviously, Roxy's favorite, and we're both underrated movie all time, is This Means War. I mean,
really? You have no idea.
Before you came in, they were raving about it.
There's no really.
They were raving about it.
I thought you guys were going to talk about I Loved I Feel Pretty so much. I'm like, me too.
Yeah.
No, that's a great movie too.
Yeah, I liked it.
But no, This Means War to me was, I loved it. You can go back through my history of broadcasting over the last 10 years and listen to how many times I've talked about that movie. It's crazy.
That's the movie where I've known Tom so long, but that was the movie where Tom Rothman and I became very, very good friends, because it's always tricky making a movie, and he puts his heart and soul into everything too. And that's a movie that did fine, and Reese is so amazing. Look what Reese has gone on to be probably the most important producer in our town at this point. She does the most elegant, coolest stuff out there.
With Hello Sunshine, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, just by grabbing great material and surrounding herself with really smart people, and she was a joy to work with, and, some dude named Tom Hardy and Chris Pine. It was awesome.
But you caught them really early on. Did you have any sense of where their careers would go since?
That's just back to our, we try to do that more often than not. Whether it's, Melissa McCarthy was in the Charlie's Angels movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that was Tom Hardy's first English-speaking film, so to speak. I guess there was the Star Trek thing, but you get my drift. It was like his coming out. Hey, I'm not just going to do British, amazing Nick Refn, Bronson, and what have you. Yeah. It's just he did a big American, dare I say, pop movie, and it was delightful to be a part of such an incredibly talented guy's sort of coming out moment.
Who was the first person to call you McGee?
My mom. I mean, it's just it's so funny, because here we are today in 2019, and I still have to kind of apologize for my ridiculous name, which never goes down easy. And but it's everybody thinks it's like some hip hop thing, but it's really just short for McGinty. It's my middle name. It's my mother's maiden name. And we were broke when I was a kid, and my name's Joseph McGinty Nickel. Yeah. And my uncle was Joe, and my grandpa was Joe, and there were just too many Joes running around the house, and it was my mom's mom. Literally on the day I was born, said, call him McG. And this is in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Right. It wasn't like a Hollywood name. It was just a family name, right?
And it's a family name. It's like Madonna. Yeah. And she's like, that's my name is Madonna Ciccone or whatever her last name. I just kind of ducked the last thing, but I'm actually Madonna. Yeah. And that's been it since day one. Everybody thinks it's some hip-hop moniker. I mean, I literally remember doing a video for Puffy when he showed up on the set. And he
what
goes,
video was it?
This was a Mace video called Looking at Me.
Yeah.
And Puffy comes out. He's running around with Jennifer Lopez at the time. And he comes out and he's like, where's McG? And I raised my hand. He goes, you're not black. And I go, should I split? And he's like, nah, man, let's just do it. And we did it, and we've been buddies ever since.
That's
But yeah, my
amazing.
name is ridiculous.
No, it's great. I love
It's
it.
not great. It's so dumb.
You know what?
It's
Well, you know,
different.
I want to go back. I want to go
But
back
it's
to
really my name. I mean, if you look at me in second grade, it says McG.
Yeah.
With like an orange afro and a neck gear, dolphins and shoe skates. You know, it's just builds a lot of character.
Where are you from?
Well, Kalamazoo, Michigan, but
Okay.
I grew up largely in Newport Beach, which was the whole OC thing.
Right, that's where they came from. You know, I want to go back to something because what I thought was really kind of genuine and cool was when you had mentioned that This Means War was one of your favorites, and he's like, "Really?" I like the fact you can embrace it because obviously, you know, there's all things in our career. Maybe there's criticism too, or there's things that come to, and you've taken some hits, but you seem to be one of those guys. You bounce off and you go, "All right, well, they didn't like that one. F it. I'm gonna do something new now and get them on my side."
Yeah, that's true, and it's very painful when you don't achieve your goals. I mean, it's fun when you're like, you know, Charlie's Angels is the biggest first-time director offering ever. You know, at the time, I think then, you know, I don't know, maybe JJ blew that up with when he came out with whatever. Right. But just he blows everything up. But you get my drift.
Yeah.
So like it's fun to do that, but at the same time, you if you come up a little short on something, you can't just go down the darkest of holes, even though you want to. And I've had the good fortune of, be it This Means War, be it that Terminator movie, they weren't completely disastrous.
Right.
They were just not everything we wanted them to be at the time.
Nothing that was like
disastrous.
Yeah, well,
This Means War is great.
yeah,
Well, you think that.
right.
Yes,
You know
we
what I
do.
mean?
Nothing you couldn't come back from.
I don't know. I mean, but I always have my toes tapping in that, you know, if I'm not doing this TV show, I'm doing that movie. If I'm not doing that, then I'm doing this record. If
Right.
I'm not doing that record, then I'll do this, you know, halftime show for the Super Bowl. And then I'll do it's just like I say, you got to stay a part of the conversation. And it helps that I've never had, you know, a giant money loser that's taken me out of the conversation. This Means War made its money. Terminator made its money. And then all the while you have the upswing of, you know, Supernatural, that at first was like a CW show that nobody really paid that much attention to, and it just earned its passionate audience. Yeah. And, you know, away we go. And then it's like, oh, Lethal Weapon's going to be terrible. And then we figure out Lethal Weapon for television, and people liked it a lot and got
Right.
really involved in everything that was going on with Klain and all that drama.
Yeah,
And-
man.
Yeah, but it's just all you can do is try to, is in a noisy world, create stuff that's going to be talked about in rooms like this.
But is that a problem though, too? Because like when Roxy was talking about Tom Hardy, you bring him over and finding talent that, you know, you find these people and you work with these people and you go, okay, these people are going to turn to stars and I'm going to work with them. They're going to elevate my show. I'm going to help elevate their career. And then you get something like that Lethal Weapon situation, right? And is it just like, is that kind of stuff like heartbreaking because you don't know where it's going to, because from, I don't know, you read things, and from what you read is that it's someone who just let the success get to their head, and they just basically looks like they kind of sabotage the show.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's two sides to every story,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really there all that much during all. I mean, I got along great with Damon, and I got along great with Klain.
Okay.
So I felt like I could, you know, thread that needle, and my partners on that, Matt Miller and Dan Lin, they're two of the best, you know, human negotiators possible. So
Yeah.
it must have been intense. But I miss those fireworks, and yeah, it's heartbreaking when anything goes sideways. Now that show just got canceled,
Right.
You know, and I like Sean William Scott and the whole thing, and wish everybody success. But it was fun for a while when people were like, "How are you going to fill the Riggs problem? Like that's Mel Gibson's best thing." It's like between that and Braveheart
Right.
and Mad Max. I mean, those are his seminal performances. And I'm like, I don't know. But then I saw this guy, and I thought, well, maybe he can do it.
Did you watch him on Rectify? Is that what you saw him
Yeah,
on?
yeah, and a
Rectify.
few other things. I saw him in, I forget, this little indie movie where he was making the moves that I needed the character needed to make. So that gave me confidence. But yeah, I mean, whether it's the kids in the OC or Tom Hardy or you take your pick, just the idea of selecting talent that can do it and do it at a high level is really awesome. And when it goes wrong for any reason, it's a huge, huge bummer. But as you guys know, you're in the wrong game if you're going to let, you know, sideways steps take you down.
Right.
I think something that's been really interesting and inspiring about your career is that you were working with badass women before it was cool to work with badass women. Like now Hollywood's kind of caught on, but between Charlie's Angels and even something like This Means War, where typically you would see the situation reversed, where it's the man in the middle and the two women on the side. Is that a choice that you made at some point, or is that just kind of the projects that kept falling on your plate?
Well, it always just came naturally to me, and like I said, I think I'm at my best when I'm most directly partnered with a woman, because I can get too duded out if I just hang out with, you know, too much male feedback at all times. And if you look at you know, That studio at the time was very much run by Amy Pascal and Lucy Fisher. Okay, so and they wanted nothing to do with me, and it was only the protection of Drew Barrymore at the time, where Drew goes, "You got to let this guy do it. We want to make the first female, superhero movie." That she protected me and got me the job. So think about my orientation. I'm making my first movie, and Drew is infinitely more powerful than I am. Cameron is certainly more powerful than I am, and the studio is run by two ladies who could, probably drove down to the set 3 different times to fire me.
Did they really?
Well, just because it was such an unorthodox movie.
Right.
I mean, they were like, "Are we supposed to be laughing at this thing? Are we supposed? It looks like a big candy Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
What? They're Hong Kong dudes on ropes pulling, flying karate kicks all over the place. What's happening?" And we just stayed the course, and people responded because it felt original at the end. So that was lucky. And then, like I said, I've always partnered with women to run my company. So the first piece of feedback I get from the early days was Stephanie Savage, and then was this woman, Mary Viola, and they both gone on to be superstars in their own right. So, and then you talk about This Means War. I can promise you the biggest voice on that was a person named Reese Witherspoon, who I adore, and as I've said, is about as smart as they come and does the best stuff in the world. And people might have written her off as a little bit of a lightweight for a while. And what a mistake that would have been to do so, because she was always the person she is today, making it work with a clothing, design thing, running in and out of the world of Oprah, really sort of carrying the torch of what it means to be a fully realized human being.
Legally Blonde doesn't work without Reese Witherspoon, because that could have been such a goofball of a movie, but without Reese Witherspoon, I don't think that movie works.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that character shape. I love what she did in Election. I love what she did in Legally Blonde, and I'm with you. I like what she did in This Means War.
Yeah.
Well, Rim of the World is the movie here. Once again, guys, it's Netflix. It's Friday. It's May 24th. Director McG is in here talking about that movie and a lot of other things. But one more thing before we let you go here with Rim of the World too. If people don't really, because there's so much to watch on Netflix.
I know. What are you guys into right now?
On Netflix?
No, anywhere.
Oh, well, obviously we just finished up Game of Thrones. Were you the Game of Thrones guy?
Yes, of course.
What did you think about the finale?
I think it's very hard to finish a series in a satisfying capacity as far as, MASH, Seinfeld, take your pick. Yeah. I'm so deeply I can't go dark side on Benioff and Weiss. Yeah. Because I'm so thankful for what they did. I know they had the template of the books for a lot of it, but the writing, I'm not a sword and sandals fantasy guy, but I look at, and I could care less about the nudity and the violence, and I enjoy it very much. I find that it honors the audience. Right. And it doesn't infantilize you. Is that the right word? It treats you like an adult.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But to me, it's just the brilliance of that show is you want to turn left, I want to go right. Yeah. And how does it sound when we talk about the differences? Every single scene has conflict. Every single scene is brilliantly stated. And I've just, for the last decade, derived so much joy from that show. I can't get too hung up on what they did right and what they did wrong in season 8. But yeah, I wonder why you can lose a dragon so quick in whatever that episode was, and then the dragon can take everybody out in the very next episode. Right. And I don't love Ian Greyjoy enough to give him Jaime Lannister. So we can go on, but I'm so pro Game of Thrones in the end. My hat is off to Benioff and Weiss.
Were you ever approached by them or anybody around to talk or consult?
Not particularly. I didn't. I'm buddies with a woman, one of the smartest people you'll ever meet, who's the executive producer, Carolyn Strauss. Mm-hmm. She used to run Warner Brothers, and I remember one time I was at a post-production facility. Every once in a while, it's fun to be in Hollywood. Yeah. I was at a post-production facility, and I'm walking down the hall, and I hear, "Hey, McG," and I turn around, it's Carolyn Strauss. Yeah. And she goes, "Do you know the boys?" I'm like, "Not really." She goes, "Oh, this is, DB and David and whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, hey." And I realized they're coming, just the three of them coming out of an editing facility where they're deciding what's going down on Game of Thrones. Right. And it was just kind of a chilling, fun moment to be in a room like this. And you're like, right there, they're making the choice that people are going to be so excited about or so mad about or so whatever. And it just comes down to the three of them going, "Yeah, I think we should X." Right. And that's just, I love that. And whenever you can do something and people can get excited about it the world over, to me, that's the goal. Otherwise, we'd all just be in our closet doing our own little, art paintings.
Earlier on in the show, I forgot about this. We were mentioning that there's rumors out there that Henry Cavill might be considered for Wolverine down the line. And then we start talking about Superman. And then your connection with Superman, obviously, at one point you were going to direct the
100%.
Your last film.
Yeah, I got thrown off Superman because, my whole life I've really had a problem with being agoraphobic and afraid to fly, which is ironic. And I remember at that time I was telling the heads of Warner Brothers, which at the time was Alan Horn and Barry Meyer, I'm like, guys, I can't go to Australia. I can't fly to Australia. They're like, oh, you'll be fine. You're in Big G. You'll be, come on. I'm like, oh, God. And, literally right up to the point of the day I'm supposed to go, I'm like, I can't go. They obviously had to throw me off the picture.
Yeah.
Singer came in and did the movie. Yeah, I mean, that was like a real low point for me as a human being, but it drove me to go in there and, meet with 2 women at UCLA who specialize in such things. And then I got better. It was really hard, and I just slowly started putting one foot in front of the other and started flying. And, now I never go a week without flying. And,
wow, so you're over your fear over it? Or
I would never, I love flying, and
wow.
In a way I would say I'm over it, but I would never be so bold as to say I'm over it. It's like if you used to weigh 500 pounds and now you're at your fighting weight, somebody goes, oh, you're over. You're like, well, I'm sort of over it, but I got to do what I need to do to stay at this, or I'll go back.
Where did that come from? The fear of flying when you were younger?
From being sodomized by my dad. Just kidding. No, I love you, Dad. No, but it doesn't work that way. It's just a chemical thing. You don't ask for it. Oh yeah, it's just my brain is entirely messed up, and I just But you know what? It's like I've reconciled it. For so long, it was a tremendous source of shame, and I didn't want to talk about it because it's so emasculating and it's such a bummer. But I've kind of reconciled that I never went to school to learn how to make a record, but I've written #1 songs and made #1 records. I never went to film school, but I can make a movie, and I never went to TV class, and I can executive produce a TV show. So, I mean, maybe because my brain is vibrating on that frequency that tortures me a lot, I can see and hear things just a little bit differently as to make them interesting.
Is there something like a project that you've watched or seen, movie, TV, it doesn't matter, that you were like, man, I really would have loved to have been involved in that?
Millions.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ozark. I love Game of Thrones. I don't know. When I see Ex Machina, I think that's about as good as a movie can be. Mm-hmm. I'm about as excited as you can be for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. I mean, I really, really still love it.
You're still a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just fundamentally a fan, and it's ironic because I don't know. I mean, I drive around, I listen to music on 10 and everything from Black Flag to Migos and just what have you, and I still watch the movies I watch and get excited the way I get excited. So it just hasn't faded. It doesn't feel like a bummer job. It's still very fun, and I'm very passionate on getting it right. And, you have those moments along the way where you're deeply, deeply humbled, more than humbled, you're embarrassed. I mean, Superman was the all-time low point of my life because I was buddies. I mean, JJ was writing it. And, Warner's is making it. We really wanted to do it. And I let everybody down, and I couldn't do it. But it got me into a place where, like I said, I saw these 2 women who taught me how to, get my head wrapped around it, and I got better. Yeah. So in that sense, there's a bit of a silver lining there.
Did you ever get to explain yourself to them afterwards? Have you spoken to them since and said?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my closest friend is Alan Horn. I mean, to this day, it's just, we're really cool. I mean, and Peter Roth. Right. I mean, if I have to reflect on who are my closest, the Titans, Peter Roth, Alan Horn, Tom Rothman, those are the ones that, Quentin and Lawrence Bender sort of started me in the early days at A Band Apart when I was making music videos and commercials, but I don't talk to them nearly as much as, I'd see Alan Horn right now at lunch and we'd hug it out. It's awesome. So I'm very thankful in that regard.
Are you going to interact with Alan? Does he have anything to do with the Disney Plus stuff, or is that more Iger?
Well, everything obviously ends at Iger, but it's very much Dana Walden. It's a guy named Kevin Mayer. Mm-hmm. Ricky Strauss runs Disney Plus. I think they're here to stay. Believe all the hype that you're reading about them. Man. We'll see, but that'll just be good for us because it'll bring out the best in Netflix. It'll bring out the best in Disney Plus. It'll bring out the best it's a great time to be a fan.
It reminds me, and I was a big wrestling fan back in the day, and so when the WWF was at its height, it was at WCW, and the reason why WCW started taking over the ratings because it had this competition with the WWF, and they started back and forth, and I think that's what's happening here. What's going to happen? I think, like you just said, I think Netflix stuff has already been great. It's going to get even better because of Disney Plus, and I think it's going to be a really great time to be a fan.
I think so, and I mean, don't sleep on Hulu, and Apple's too big to die, and Jen Psaki's so smart down there at Amazon. It's just they're going to be there forever, and it's just good for us in conversations like this.
If you could do any superhero property now, what would it be?
I mean, I really, really liked Masters of the Universe. I really thought that could be cool. I thought the whole He-Man thing, the genesis of what went into it, how Skeletor became Skeletor was very, very exciting. So, I mean, I still wish them well, and I want to see that expressed well. That's the property in that capacity that's on my mind that I think is awesome.
Let me have a conversation with you about that then too, because that one to
You're
me.
talking about the biggest.
So I had so you'll know this because before you had gotten the property, I was responsible for bringing it into Warner Brothers when Justin Marks got it, and they started doing all this stuff too. Because I always thought that actually I was on the opposite side. I always thought it should be Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. That to me,
that's a hell of a compelling take,
right?
You know, and antithetical to what I just said regarding James Gunn. So there's no right, there's no wrong, but it's very, very different.
And then I had a chance to talk to Goyer because he was on it for a little bit and he was going down that path. But then it seemed to be like maybe they're trying to spin it more now to where you want it to go because it's been through so many different.
Yeah, but that's like everything, man. You can't worry about that. I mean, if you got him in here to talk about Breaking Bad, they'd be like, we got batted around and nobody wanted to deal with it until the bitter end. I mean, you just talked about the success story of any film and any TV show ever. Back to Star Wars. I mean, Lucas, they thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to go down in flames. They had no idea to what Coppola went through on Apocalypse Now, which is why it's so fun to watch the documentary that his wife made and just the whole thing. So I don't know. You can't judge the difficulty of something as a direct relation to its success or failure.
Right.
To me,
it's a great point.
You know, so I don't know. I mean, I think that's a great one. I can't wait to see it. And who knows?
Rox, got anything else?
I cut you off, Makuga.
No. I was just saying, Rim of the World, I love a good coming of age movie, obviously. And the beginning of it, I thought we were like, oh, this is going to be like Heavyweights. This is awesome. Because that's one of the greatest camp movies of all time.
Couldn't love it more.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are going to like this one because it's real. I just like sharp, precocious kids speaking like adults and overcoming their shortcomings. So I'm particularly proud of this film. I mean,
awesome.
I really think it holds up. I don't know if you guys got 90 minutes on your hands. There's so much good stuff
We'll
out
watch.
there.
Damn
but
right
check
we
it out.
do, yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
I will be watching this movie because I'm a science fiction kind of geek, alien invasions especially, and the way that they've been doing it now. Like you look at something like Stranger Things, and this to me, when you mention the Amblin kind of connection up top here, the reason why you wanted to do this movie, it's even more of a sell. And I will be watching it, and you guys should too. It is Friday, May 24th. It releases on Netflix. McG directs it. Dude, such a pleasure having you in here.
Delighted
Thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much. Come
Thank
back.
you guys.
Come back and see us.
Anytime.
All right, guys. So that's it for this episode of Collider Live. We're going to be back tomorrow. And remember the new channel. So you're going to check us out on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, Spotify, the whole thing. But make sure you subscribe to this brand new channel dedicated just to Collider Live. We'll see you tomorrow.